Jonathan Taylor. There he goes again. 50, 40, down the far sideline. He might do it again. 10, 5, touchdown. INDY.
The Eastern Conference Championship has been captured by the Indiana Pacers.
Alex Pillow wins the 109 Indianapolis 500.
This is the Fan Morning Show with KB, JB, and Jeff.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome into the mid part of the week, a Wednesday. You've made it to hump day, and we're going to have a great day. It was nice and warm yesterday. We'll see what happens today. Maybe not so warm, but it is not frigid, freezing cold. Story of the night, overtime. We got extra basketball everywhere last night. Purdue gets a win at Nebraska. The Pacers, I don't know, KB. I'm going to forevermore start referring to New York's home arena as Market Square Garden because the Pacers absolutely own that place lately. They just can't lose there. Even when they don't have guys, they can't lose there. On a night when Jalen Brunson scores 40, Josh Hart has a triple-double. They can't hang with the Pacers. Doesn't matter who the Pacers throw out there. Pacers could go TJ McConnell, Huff, and the three of us, and we might win in overtime. That's how much Indiana owns New York right now at Madison Square Garden, and I'm here for every second of it. I am here for all of it.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. That was one of the weirder Pacer games I've watched in quite a while because I heard from more people mad about that win than I heard happy about that win. I'm like, is this our next 2 months?
I did ask you all that question yesterday.
This is the next 2 months for the Indiana Pacers. And I get there's probably more of it's the Knicks, so I still want to beat them. But if you start getting too many of these, you might not feel that way, and one of them would be tonight. So very weird. It's just a weird time with the Pacers. I don't think there's any way around it. And obviously, last night in Lincoln, just wild, absolutely wild. Very reminiscent of IU UCLA. I thought a few weeks back for Purdue, probably their best half of the season, easily one of their best halves of the season, and then it just slowly wilts away. And poise in the final 10 seconds. Poise from Matt Painter not taking a timeout. Poise from Fletcher Lawyer to find Oscar Clough and the left hand of Mr. Clough, who I thought was outstanding all night long, is the eventual game winner right there. So, yeah, two just crazy basketball games, and their fan bases feel very, very differently, I feel like, about both of those wins.
We can't forget, though, shout out to the floor. And that helped a little bit at the end there, I would say. I don't think that necessarily
slippage,
full-blown Nebraska, like we lost the game because
weird.
of this.
The one when he slipped over by where they were having the timeout?
Yeah. They would have had some time to get down the court.
And then his buddy who helped him up also slipped over
exactly.
there. Yeah.
So I saw a couple of social media posts saying, hey, we'll just get better people on the floor to clean up those types of things. And so tough break there for Nebraska, but Purdue will certainly not apologize for it.
Well, I enjoyed every second of – maybe it's just because of the Knicks. I enjoy every second of any victory over the Knicks. That might be the one team I love to sports hate more than any other, certainly in basketball. The Knicks in Madison Square Garden and, all
They're
the things.
supposed to be a finals contender.
Well, they've been playing really well. It's not like they hadn't been – they didn't stumble into that game. They've been playing pretty well lately, and – here come the Pacers. We listed that long list of injuries, and a couple of the guys did play, even though they were questionable. But, they get it done with Tyrese Halliburton and Zubac sitting over there on the bench, man.
Yeah, you had Clyde Frazier saying the Pacers were tanking. You had Ben Stiller on Twitter saying if it's Indiana, it's TJ McConnell. It reminded me of the playoff matchup again. Just everyone up in ours, Pacers-Knicks. It's kind of enjoyable considering the season.
Yeah, they have a tendency to get up for certain opponents. I'm going all the way back to the season opener. I believe it was double overtime when they lost to OKC, and SGA needed like 55, I think, to beat them. And then you beat them in Oklahoma City, even though you're depleted, and you beat the Knicks last night. So certain opponents bring out the best in the Pacers. And again, you talk about tanking. The Utah Jazz never play anybody good, or their starters, nevertheless, in the fourth quarter. Whereas last night, you could have easily, if you're Rick Carlisle and company, said, Pascal, take the rest of the night off, brother.
Yeah, they played all their guys in the fourth in overtime, like Pascal, Neesmith, who's battling a back injury, and Nemhard. So, yes, it's the old half tank. And so, it was It was amazing. I mean, we got this note here from Jeffrey. Why are the Pacers starters playing so many minutes? I don't understand why you make a move to tank, but you keep trying to win. Like, it's just a weird welcome to the Indiana Pacers. I'm going to hate the next 2 months in discussing these games.
Maybe Rick hates the Knicks as much as I do, and he's like, "We're going to lose all our games, but we're going to beat the Knicks."
It's so like
Milwaukee.
Everything about what you're drawn to about competitive nature in sports, and the NBA's got to figure out. And again, tonight is the bigger one because the Nets are right there with the Pacers. I assume the Pacers will have a slew of guys on the injury report, how they've typically done these second night of back-to-back. So, yeah, weird one last night at Madison Square Garden, but nonetheless, Quentin Jackson, big-time plays. Defensively, some big-time plays. And they send the Knicks fans home as losers.
I've got some news from Mark Dykton this morning. I don't know if he knows about this or not. Mark, I know we're going to talk to a Bears reporter later today at 9:30, correct?
John Greenberg of The Athletic, yeah.
Did you get him to talk about Iowa, the Bears moving to Iowa?
Indiana.
Iowa.
Well, both.
What?
Did you see this? Iowa lawmakers have introduced legislation to attract the Bears to the state, modifying their major economic growth attraction program. They want to offer financial incentives to build a football stadium. They want to go after the Bears now, too. Iowa. The Iowa Bears.
Would Vegas like to? I'd like to do some home games in Vegas. They want to kick the Raiders to the curb or something. Everybody, all the encompassing states seem to be interested.
You could travel to Iowa City or Des Moines every other Sunday.
Davenport, Iowa, here I come.
Quad Cities over there, right?
I feel
Davenport?
like they're always in the Little League World Series.
Yeah.
Davenport, Iowa.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't Davenport one of the Quad Cities over there?
It's something like that. I think so.
So there you go.
Playing
Everybody,
the Field of Dreams.
everybody wants the Bears. They get Caleb Williams gets good.
Could
They
you
want the
imagine?
Bears. That's right. Get the football field of dreams over there.
That is still one of the more cool moments that sports has had when they had the real baseball game out there.
Yeah, it was neat.
That was awesome.
And then they ruined it.
Yeah.
Well, that's what they do. If it becomes moderately successful, then you just can't have nice things after a while. Everybody says, "Oh, we really can make money with this. Let's go." And then it becomes about making the money and not putting on the event.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to talking to John Greenberg later today to kind of get a sense of how real this is. I don't know how much he knows about the Iowa bid or even if it's a bid, but as far as the Northwest Indiana talk about the Bears, he's well-versed, and so I'm very curious to get his pulse on things.
All right, so got a lot to talk about. Like I said, we got extra basketball everywhere last night. That was a lot of fun. And I thought, here's the other thing that I will say, and we'll get into this in detail a little bit later on. Trey Kaufman-Renn, gentlemen, had 6 points last night, but I thought it was maybe the best game I've ever seen him play, certainly the best game he's played this year. 19 rebounds. Last night, Purdue out-rebounded the Cornhuskers 52 to 23, something crazy. I wrote it down here because it was just like off the charts in rebounding last night. 52 to 33 on the road at Nebraska's place where they've been really tough to beat. And Wren has 19 rebounds. You're going to win a lot of games when you have that many more possessions than the other team.
Yeah, he can play. I don't know if it's the best game I've ever seen him play. He's had a lot of good ones. I don't want to dismiss his career with the
It's the best one he's
Boilermakers,
played this
but,
year.
Yeah, that was well needed last night. And when in a game like that, you need every board and every possession. So that was big time. We'll catch up with another Indiana native, by the way, and Travis Steele later today, the last coach of an undefeated team this season, right, KB?
Yeah, they are it. Miami of Ohio. Tons of Indiana ties to their roster, not only actual players, but their coaching staff especially. So, yeah, he's going to join us coming up at 9. But, to get back to Purdue from last night, I mean, if you're going to have this question about, hey, we're going to play the bigs, and then we hope that the opponent is not necessarily going to take advantage of that with whatever. Not smalls, that's putting it way too elementary, but just, hey,
shooting and spacing, right?
Right, if they're going to pull guys away from the basket. And Enrique Mass did that at times. I mean, you saw when Nebraska got back in the game, Enrique Mass's ability to hit shots, play make, was a huge factor in it. But that's where Purdue has got to punish. And it's a little bit like Ivica Zubats, really, right now. We can get to some of the Zubats comments from yesterday, but, it's the old adage of, hey, Pacers opponents used to put a small on Miles Turner and not sweat it. For Purdue basketball right now, if you're going to put smalls out there, Oscar Clough and Trey Kaufman-Renn have to dominate the glass. And they did that. I mean, Yes, Kaufman ran. I will agree, Jeff. He was controlling the glass. I thought Clough was unbelievable. I just thought both ends of the floor, when they needed buckets too, just earning extra possessions. I get, obviously, the foul line was, We Grow Hair Indy was on line one with watching. Really, Purdue got the guys they wanted to at the foul line. It was Brain Smith, it was Fletcher Lawyer, it was CJ Cox. And it was miss. I think Lawyer split his pair there. So, big time by Purdue's bigs, and again Cox and Benter. I mean those two guys when Nebraska made that run there in the second half. Guys that aren't as high up on the scouting report. I thought they hit some timely shots and B just created a couple of extra trips, and it was really really critical in Purdue holding on for dear life and getting a road top 10 win. I think that's one of the victories people call a seed bump. When you beat a top 10 team on the road this late in the year, they move you up an entire line in the bracket. So I think right now you'll see Purdue probably right around the 3 seed in a lot of these mock brackets. I think a win like that, beating a top 10 team on the road, moves you up to the 2 line. And obviously Purdue will have plenty of more opportunities to try and improve that here coming up the rest of February.
Can I give one more quick overtime shout out? I stopped by Pike last night. Pike versus Mount Vernon. Pike gets the win 84-81 in OT. And while I'm sitting there, a few rows up in the stands, I'm looking just around, and I look to my left, and Caitlin Clark is probably 2 rows in front of me. And I don't know how she snuck in. And what's cool about it is I think that she's finally ingrained in Indiana because everyone left her alone. And so that was pretty cool. She was there with her boyfriend, Connor McCaffrey. I don't know if they're doing some recruiting over there at Butler, but a lot of D1 talent on that floor last night. So it was funny because Mount Vernon was down by 2 with about 2 seconds to go. And in high school, you got to go to full length of the court. So she got up to leave. And I don't even know if she saw this, but I stayed to the end. They throw it long, get a tip, and the guy catches it, scores.
That was a hell of a shot by that kid.
It was crazy.
Collins, yes. I believe his last name.
Man, he was shooting well all night. And then you look up, and suddenly Caitlin is right by the exit, not leaving just yet because she's got to see overtime. So the basketball junkie is not just us. She's one of us.
I thought maybe her walking taco was warming up, and that's what she was waiting on.
I don't know. I'll say that she was making a beeline in and out. I don't know if she could stop in the concession line.
Because if she stops, it's over, right?
Yeah, probably. But again, I got the vibe that everyone not everyone. I don't know if people really noticed that she was there, but if they did, they more or less left her alone and let her, have a night to just watch hoops, which I respect.
Yeah. All right, coming up in a minute, we'll give you the rundown on everything else you might have missed overnight while you were sleeping. Get you ready to go for the day ahead. It is the Fan Morning Show with James Boyd, Kevin Bowen, Jeff Rickard, and Mark Dykton, whose Bears, who knows, they could be playing in South Dakota by the time we end this show.
I just need a zip code. Just tell me where they're going.
checked out. Brought to you by the Barbasol Horizon League Basketball Championships. March starts here. The Barbasol Horizon League Basketball Championships with NCAA tournament bids on the line. March 8th through 10th. Tickets and more at horizonleague.com/Indy.
All kinds of extra basketball last night. We'll start in the NBA where the Pacers in a game heard right here on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan get a win over the New York Knicks 137-134 in overtime. Pascal Siakam had 30. Quentin Jackson had 19 points and 6 rebounds in the front court yesterday. How about that? We're kind of doing his thing coming in, but wow.
Dagger and OT from Quentin Jackson there. Great defense in OT, and they did have to hold on after that. But the eventual dagger, I guess, is the best way to put it.
Yeah, also Andrew Nembhard, 24 points and 10 assists. The Pacers had 8 different players in double figures. Indiana, though, the difference, I think, James, 18 of 45 from three-point range. The Knicks just 14 of 46. And again, on a night when Jalen Brunson scored 40, Josh Hart had a triple-double, and 22 each for Karl Anthony Towns and Mikal Bridges. Didn't matter. Pacers just kept finding a way to win.
They did find a way, but boy, they made you sweat. I was thinking, Pascal, you got to be able to make a couple free throws there at the end, brother.
I thought it was over when Towns tied it up in overtime. Like, oh, here they go.
Yeah.
They're going to take it over now.
The Knicks didn't score for the first 4 minutes of overtime. I thought it's just going to go into double OT here.
A lot of extra basketball. Earlier in the night, Purdue wins in overtime at Nebraska, 80-77. Boilers out-rebounded the Huskers 52-33. Trey Kaufman-Wren had 19 alone, 6 points to go with that. Fletcher Lawyer scored 18 points. This was a crazy game. Purdue led by as many as 22. Huskers got it down to 4 at 57-53. Then the Boilermakers got it back up to 12. And then the Huskers rallied to force overtime, and it got dicey in overtime before finally they got a big bucket down the stretch there from Huff, and then they got a couple of free throws, too, from Harris, and they finally got the win yesterday. Clough, 80-77 was the final score. Huff, Clough. I get my big men confused, Kevin.
Yeah, two very different style big men. But, yeah, Oscar Clough was outstanding last night for Purdue, and just the poise. You know, we see so many debates. Rick Carlisle, Mike Brown, we see all these debates. Do you take the timeout late? And that Purdue possession was kind of starting to stall out. What do you do there? Fletcher Lawyer's driving. Looks like he's stuck. I'm kind of waiting. Is Painter going to take the timeout? Is Lawyer going to force one? Purdue had missed so many good looks there late in regulation and into overtime. But Lawyer, just the poise of a senior, finds Clough. Clough's got great positioning, left hand, boom. So big, and needed. And boy, needed for the cardiologist in West Lafayette.
And the scary part about that game, the free throws. They kept missing free throws down the stretch. Just 11 of 20 on the night. There were a couple, if they make them, they might not go to overtime.
So what you're saying is the Pacers and the Boilermakers should have been spending some extra time after the game getting some free throws up.
Well, I think the difference, like Siakam has turned into he's turned into like a free throw liability.
Yeah, and honestly, we see some of that flare up throughout last year's playoffs, and really before.
Like, Purdue got the guys they wanted to at the line.
Yeah.
And Braden Smith running the 1-on-1. Miss. Fletcher Lawyer splits a pair. C.J. Cox, 85%. And I was shaking watching him try to hit either of those two free throws there last night. So,
did you see the photo posted by Purdue, by the way, showing the scratch he had on his face?
The scratch there, and then Kaufman-Wren had the shiner as well.
I was thinking, boy, can you get a foul call? Can you just go to the ref and say, hey, look at this?
Kevin, we got a problem up in South Bend. They've lost 9 of 10 now, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. What's going on up there?
Just square up with them, Kevin.
Lost to SMU last night, 89-81. But they're not going in the right direction, bud.
Boy, that wasn't the news item I was going to lead with there. Next year, Notre Dame and Mark.
There you go.
Mm-hmm. The Pope.
Yep.
He helped out the Bears this year.
Mm-hmm.
Villanova grad, is that right for the Pope?
I believe that's correct, yeah.
Notre Dame and Villanova starting next year's college basketball season in Italy. CBS Sports had this report yesterday. Men, women, doubleheader over there leading into a Sunday NFL on Fox. So we're on to next year. Notre Dame's best players out for the year. It's brutal luck. We now have the Pope on our side. It was announced last night.
That's how things are going up there. They got to call in the big guns now.
So then how do you get in contact with the Pope to make sure you're there?
I would say you tell your brother cancel the Vegas trip.
James, where are we at international games? Is there one in Italy? I feel like Italy's like the one country that we haven't been to yet in the NFL.
That is true. Just give it time because, boy, we're going all over the map, it seems like.
Is Zach Kiefer doing an advanced story over there on Notre Dame playing? Are they playing in the Vatican?
You got to love Kevin, though. He was ready with the Pope, knowing that I was going to talk about SMU and
that was
Notre
a great
Dame
effort.
Today. It was beautiful.
I actually thought for a second there they were going to pull off the upset.
No
there.
games in Italy next year. There's 3 in London, 1 in Madrid, 1 in Mexico City, 1 in Rio de Janeiro, 1 in Melbourne, Australia. Shout out Nate Atkins. 1 in Munich, Germany, and 1 in Paris.
There we go. None in Iowa yet, though, right?
Not yet. Not till they put the shovel in the ground and build the Bears Stadium.
Right. Extra basketball in high school last night. Pike over Mount Vernon, 84-81. James Boyd was in attendance there. That was an overtime win for Pike, the 5th-ranked team in the state against the 4th-ranked team. Now, despite Mount Vernon hitting, did I say 11 three-pointers in the first half? They couldn't miss in the first half.
They can really shoot the ball. That's special stuff.
But Jahari Miller, who you talked about, had 28. Luke Ertl had 26. Caitlin Clark was in attendance there. And folks did a nice job of just letting her be, right?
Yeah, and I think she might have been, well, I would think that she definitely enjoyed that game because of the shooting. And you're thinking of one of the best shooters in the world, and Caitlin Clark, I had to imagine that she respected the long ball from those boys last night. That was, man, the teams I played for and against in high school could not shoot like that.
Good news for you, though, Kevin. Cathedral a winner over Liberty Christian, 76-57. Roncalli beat Southport 63-55, and Plainfield over Warren Central 63-53. We are now 6 days into the Olympics, and the United States, they need to do some work if they want to climb up that medals chart, guys. Right now, they are not in the top 3 for medals. Over the 6 days, the U.S. has brought home 7 medals so far, 2 gold, 3 silver, and 2 bronze. When you take a look at the chart, Norway on top with 12 overall medals, 6 gold, followed by Germany with 6 overall medals and 3 gold. But the United States does have 7 total medals to stay sort of in that race. 2, as I said, 2 gold, 3 silver, 2 bronze. We did see Team USA women's hockey team just obliterate Canada yesterday, 5-0. Those are the 2 favorites right now. That wasn't at the end of kind of the round robin play. So we'll see what shakes out when they start playing for semifinals and gold medal games. But anything you watched yesterday? Your Corey's got a silver in curling.
Yeah, that was heartbreaking. Top 5 loss that I've watched. Just brutal. Brutal there.
Okay?
The Swedish woman, incredible. 2020 vision must have going on in those rec specs there. Jalen Smith needed those rec specs back when he was a Pacer. She was absurd. Just dart-like, bullseye every time. Big shots. It was tough to watch.
Kevin's going to start a podcast, a curling podcast.
Kathy
soon.
O, that's our coach's name. I could feel the emotion there. Isabella, I believe, was a Swedish woman. Brother-sister combo there. I tried to be sentimental, tried to appreciate the story. Could not.
Curling with Kevin, the podcast.
Yeah, Mark. Okay. Dabble there. There's got to be a curling watering hole on the east side somewhere. We could celebrate that. Beers with Bowen over on the east side.
Yeah, you should do a Beers with Bowen for curling.
I do believe we're starting to get into a few more of the U.S.-centric events, if you will, like Chloe Kim, for example.
Mm-hmm.
From a snowboarding standpoint, the speed skater, Jordan, right, from Wisconsin, is supposed to be incredible. I believe that those events start to take place. And yeah, like you said, women's hockey, men's hockey begins today. So the U.S., I believe their first game will be tomorrow. So we start to get into that aspect of the Winter Olympics. I think Dick Gepper, the Indiana guy, starts here pretty soon as well.
All right. We're looking forward to all of that stuff. More curling for you today, Kevin. Men's round robin session 1 against Czechia. That one starts at 1:05, in case you're wondering. I just want to keep you up to date on that.
Oh, it's in the calendar.
Anything else, guys, you want to throw in before we move along here?
Well, got to mention Butler tonight. They'll try to drum up some Hinkle magic inside of that building against UConn. They are 10, 11-point underdog, I believe. Braylon Mullins, of course, back inside of the 317, if you will. Project 44 night, so the bone marrow awareness with Andrew Smith is always a great, great cause. So that will be a big focus tonight over there. Hinkle 7:30 tip for this one as Dan Hurley and company visit Butler.
All right, that's what's happening in the world of sports. We'll check it down again about an hour from now. Coming up in a moment, more on the Pacers' overtime win last night. And Purdue, is this exactly what they needed to kind of jumpstart them back into the top 10, back into being a team that everybody thought was going to be competing for a Final Four spot at the beginning of the year? We'll check it all next as we continue at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Well, it's been a while since I saw the beautiful concrete. Thank you to Galaxy Concrete Coatings for that. New sidewalk, new front porch. We're now, when I say new, I should probably preface, we're like 3 or 4 years old, but with all the melting on that yesterday, I wanted to get down and just kiss it because I hadn't seen it in a while. Still looked absolutely glorious. If you'd like to kiss new concrete, you can. Galaxy Concrete Coating. You don't have to kiss it. By any means. Indoor and outdoor concrete, garages, basements, patios, porches, sidewalks. If you go to their website, you'll see pictures, you'll see styles available to you. A lot of patios, probably one of the things they specialize in the most. Indoor and outdoor concrete. Again, it's galaxyconcretecoatings.com. Manufacturers upgrade the warranty from 15 years to lifetime, and I think you'll find a style that fits your home, your workplace, whatever you need. Again, it's Galaxy Concrete Coatings, garages, basements, patios, porches, sidewalks. Head to that website, galaxyconcretecoatings.com today.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
That, Mark Dykton, is how you get people up and running this morning right there. Little Eric Clapton, old school.
That's the goal.
Man. Good morning and welcome into a Wednesday. It's the Fan Morning Show. Mark Dykton spinning the hits over there. We got James Boyd to my right, Kevin Bowen to my left. And by the way, people starting to check in on the text line, 239-1070. Mark, this one says the Bears will move to zip code 58271. That is somewhere in North Dakota.
Okay.
So there you go. But
I
you're
can
there.
drive there.
Pembina, North Dakota. I looked it up.
Pembina.
Just a little bit north of Joliet, North Dakota, apparently.
Okay. All right. I'm familiar with Joliet, Illinois.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll have to learn my geography around here.
What's the line from the Blues Brothers as they get ready to set off on their adventure from Joliet? Anyway, the Indiana Pacers win in overtime last night. Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? I, for one, am not a tanking guy. Maybe it's just the Knicks. Maybe if you only get wins the rest of the way against the Knicks and Milwaukee, things will be okay, right, James? There's some teams you just got to beat.
I don't know, Jeff. I can't agree. Do you see the trade that they made for Ivica Zubac and the stipulations there? I don't know, man. It's bittersweet.
I just went to Tankathon. Like, let's see what happens here. I spun the lottery, and the Pacers have the 6th pick, so they're sending that to L.A.
All right, now it's my turn.
All right. You going to go on there?
Let's see. Yep, yeah, I got the 6th pick as well.
I did it a couple times last week. It was 4th, 5th, and 6th all the time. I've never been in the top 3. Have you checked out Tankathon?
You got to be in the top 4. Just got to be in the top 4.
I have not today. You think if we did a poll, fans would want what the Jazz are doing? Like you play your frontline guys until the 4th quarter?
Yes. I do think the majority of the fan base would want that.
Should put a poll up there, Mark, on the fan Twitter feed. Are you in favor of just an outright tank?
Mainly because other teams are doing it. So why should you be left out of the potential reward there? And I don't know how much we can really debate this here on the show because I don't know how much of it is cared about at the league office level. But do they really care about tanking? That's a question I've been asking myself because...
Yeah, you read off those rules, and I had never heard of them, to be honest with you, until you read them off. So I've never seen them implemented. Again, let's look at Zubats. Are they tanking with Zubats or not? I mean, he missed time due to an ankle injury. What do the Pacers have to present? MRI records to the league office to say that he's hurt?
Yeah.
Aaron Nesmith's back flares up last night. Now, he finished the game. I don't get how you can properly adjudicate if teams are holding guys out or not based off medical records.
I got a sore back.
It's clear that you're doing it. It's clear what the Jazz are doing, but I guess I don't really know how you properly judge or rule on it. If that makes sense.
I just wonder if they will somehow, some way revisit this conversation, not only because of the tank angle, and I don't know necessarily if it's from an availability standpoint, but just what you do with the availability. Because not playing your guys in the 4th quarter, you can't sit up there with a straight face and say, we're a better team if you're the Utah Jazz without having Lauri Markkanen, Jaren Jackson Jr., Keontae George, and your top players out there on the floor. So that's the part where I'm not sure if the NBA can really change that or affect that. But when you look at the tanking debate, that's part of it. It's knowing that, okay, Adam Silver, you told us we have to play our players, but you didn't say anything about the 4th quarter. And I also wonder if the NBA will step in because of the betting part of it. If you're betting on games and you've gotten in bed with all these companies, if you bet on the over or whatever for a player, and let's say, hey, I bet it was 21 and a half for Lauri Markkanen's points. He's at 19, doesn't play the 4th quarter, and he's healthy. What are we doing? So I don't have the remedy, but just a lot of thoughts I have on that topic.
Yeah, the one I hear the most is once you're officially eliminated, then your wins would count positively towards whatever lottery standings there are. Which, again, there might be some players on the roster that are like, well, I don't know if I want a great player walking in here and taking my spot next year.
It's true.
That's just the reality of the situation there. So I don't have a great answer, to be totally honest with you, but I just felt like Quinn Buckner and Chris Denari's jubilation last night was through the roof.
Yeah.
Understandably. They're calling these games. It's their job. It's 82 nights out of the year. It's Madison Square Garden. The Knicks are playing many of their frontline guys. And then I hear from more people saying, I wish Jalen Brunson would have hit more shots in the final minute. I wish Quentin Jackson wouldn't have hit the 3 in overtime.
He's a gamer too, by the way.
We should not feel awkward about a win. But that's how I think a majority of fans do. And again, some are saying, hey, I don't care. I'm always going to cheer for the wins. And others will say, look at the math. And if you look at the math, the Nets right now, who you play tonight, I think it's 2 games above you, and that's a 10% difference. Could that 10% difference be the difference between that pick going to the Clippers and you drafting AJ Debance? By the way, did you see Debance last night?
I did. Boy, he looks really good. I think it's
Darren Peterson
1 and 2.
better get those IVs in him ASAP.
Well, I got number 2 on Tankathon just now.
There you go. Just keep spinning, my friends. But
I don't want to spin again. I'm going to keep this one up.
It's true. But for
37-7, I believe, for Debance last night.
Yeah, he was outstanding. And then looking at the actual standings right now, as much as we want to lament the Pacers win that probably should have been a loss. They still the second worst record in the NBA currently, 14-40.
Speaking of the Pacers, two new guys, obviously. We saw last night Kobe Brown had the best plus-minus of any Pacer player. In 18 minutes, he had 8 points and 6 rebounds. That was good. Yesterday, had the conversation with Rick Carlisle about what this next week or two is going to look like. We got the All-Star game coming up this weekend. So once the Pacers play at New Jersey tonight, or at Brooklyn tonight, sorry. Once they play at Brooklyn tonight, then they don't play again until after the All-Star break. And here's what Rick said about guys who are playing, specifically Zubac.
No, he's not. I don't think he's going to play for a while. He's got a lingering ankle situation. He was injured December 20th or something like this. You know, initially it was deemed to be a 4 to 6 week injury, but this is a guy that's played 95% of his games since he's been in the NBA, and he pushed to come back early. Their team was struggling, and so there's just something in there still. There's some discomfort. There's some swelling. You admire the guy for slugging through, but at this point, it makes zero sense for him to be out on the floor in an NBA game if he's not feeling as close to 100% as possible. So I don't know the timetable. He will not play in these two games, and we'll see what's what when we come out of the break.
Lingering ankle issue. How long do you think it will linger, Kevin Bowen?
I said 10.5 games he'll play as a Pacer. That was my over-under. I think that might be on the high end.
They've still got a bunch of, they got, I think, like 28 games remaining, right?
You hear Rick Carlisle right there. That doesn't make you seem like he's coming back anytime soon, does it not?
Lingering is the word.
And even Zubac, I hopped on the Zoom call yesterday with him. I didn't get the impression that he was all of a sudden, itching to put on a uniform.
He's a company man now.
I was going to say, I think he has heard the company line quite well. I did have to laugh that Ivica Zubac shared that he got the trade call from Lawrence Frank, one former Indiana basketball manager under Bob Knight. He got the trade call from Lawrence Frank while learning how to utilize the bottle warmer. First-time parent, Ivica Zubac's daughter born last week, fumbling through the how to figure out the bottle warmer.
Okay.
How's the swaddling going for him?
I was going to say, boy, if he's got the swaddling mechanism down, I've had 3, and I still don't even know if I figured it out.
So I'll take the bait
you
here.
Fold the corner over, and then you tuck the arm in, and then you really got to get it onto the side.
What is the bottle warm? What does that mean?
It means it warms up the milk.
Do you not just take the? Because I'm serious about that. I'm not joking.
Yeah.
Do you not just take the bottle and microwave it or something, or how does that?
No, it's a nice little
you can't put
bottle
the bottle
warmer.
in the microwave.
Yeah.
Well, whose idea was that? what kind of? You know what?
It's a very simple
go on a rant
thing
here, but out of all the geniuses we have on planet Earth, we can't get a bottle warmer that you can warm up in the microwave.
James,
I digress.
if I ever try to discredit one of your questions about this, go ahead and slap me. Because I think there are no dumb questions when it comes to welcoming a human being into the world for the first time. So that is not a dumb question at all. There are no dumb questions. Hell, I have 3 of them, and I know nothing. Nothing. Yeah. I'm still putting my finger underneath her nose. Nelly, is she alive? Is that warm air coming out of her nose? Okay, good.
No, my mom did tell me, she was like, and her having twins at the time, she's like, yeah, some days you're just as long as both are breathing, you're doing all right. So
it's true though. You'll wake up in the I can remember waking up in the middle of the night and checking, I don't know, you have a weird dream or something, and you go and you put the finger under their nose, and okay, good. I feel them breathing again. It's crazy how things go like that.
Bottle warmer issues, Mark, back in the day. Could you empathize with Mr. Zubac?
100%. You're looking at I'm like, how many? I'm doing that. I'm building the crib. I'm like, how many instruction manuals do I have here?
Oh my gosh, I'd rather do a 800-piece Lego.
That's fun.
I did think Zubac, first off, in listening to him yesterday, I know he's on with Jake and Eddie as well. Pretty good talker. I mean, not maybe the most enthusiastic from a personality standpoint, but I enjoyed hearing his insights, and he definitely hit on a lot of different things and was very willing to answer any questions. And he made it clear that the fit offensively, the fit is going to be different for him. Specifically, he mentioned that he's going to have to space more to the corner here in Indiana versus in LA. He was more, and I think basketball fans have realized the old dunker spot has come up more and more, AKA closer to the basket. that's where he was with the Clippers, whereas with the Pacers, he will be asked to space the floor more. And I think that will be interesting to watch. And again, we might not watch it until next year, to be totally honest with you. But that is more of an ask that Miles Turner fit kind of his ability to potentially, hit those threes. That's not Zubac's game. He's made 1 3 in 10 years in the NBA. So I think that will be kind of the biggest question for him. And he's a great rebounder. And if you're asking him to space all the way out to the corner, again, does that limit his ability to offensive rebound, which again is a strength for him. So he admitted, that will be different. And, that will probably be a question that, again, we'll get to a little bit more when Tyrese Halliburton is back in the lineup. But he did bring that up on a couple of different occasions yesterday.
All right, so the Pacers win at 137-134 in what I am now naming Market Square Garden in New York because the Pacers just own that place right now.
So you're good with the win. You don't want to see the tank.
I hate losing at all. I understand how it works.
So you're good with winning out.
Even for the big picture?
I think
where do you
the
draw
best
the line?
way to go, I think you have lingering. Look, I'm all for lingering ankle issues, sore backs, sore knees, got to take the night off, resting guys on the second night of back-to-back. I think you play the game that way. I despise the way the Utah Jazz are just blatantly throwing it in your face.
See, I don't.
I feel like they're gaming the system.
The
NBA
NBA incentivizes you to do it.
Has allowed it to.
But to
Follow the leader.
To Kevin's original point, though, it's odd to root for any team or anybody you want to do well to lose. It's just a weird thing.
I think we all can agree it's awkward.
Yeah,
we all can agree on it. But these are the rules.
But you can't,
should you or should you not? It comes down to that question. Should you play your dudes in the fourth quarter of meaningful game or of any game, I guess, or not? That's the simple question.
And I'll say this too. I think
the Jazz are not. The Pacers last night did.
Yeah, exactly. And then additionally, I think the moral code of it, it feels wrong. Get ethics out of here. Don't care.
Well, I'll tell you. Here's the thing.
Balls don't care.
Here's the thing.
And honestly, that hurt the Pacers for years. Always being in that middle spot. So it's always good to be.
Well, James, you covered the team in the Wembanyama lottery, right?
Yes, and they did tank. But by the way, people keep saying the Pacers never tanked. That year, I was there. They were losing on purpose.
And correct me if I'm wrong, 100%. They missed getting the number 1 pick by 1 ball, right?
I believe so, yeah.
It was it
was painful.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I believe there's 1,000 combinations for the 14 lottery teams. Obviously, you divide up the 1,000 combinations based off the percentages in the lottery. And so if you want to look at the Wembanyama lottery, you were 1 extra combination away from potentially having that pick. I mean, that's how crazy. I mean, where was Dallas last year with these? I mean, it can be, so finicky. And again, just to go over everything, tonight is the bigger game. If you were going to pick a game to win, last night Knicks or tonight Nets, for many reasons. 1, people despise the Knicks, clearly. And then 2, the Nets are 2 games above you right now in the standings. So you don't want to get behind them because you would start to lose some of the percentages that you currently have.
I just say don't play guys at all because when you do play guys, it's the reason that Utah has to sit there, guys. Players are going to play to win. Last night, Pascal Siakam, Andrew Nembhard, don't tell those guys.
Wait, I thought you were happy with the win last night. Now you're saying don't play the guys?
No, here's what I'm saying. You missed the point. The point is if you play the players are going to want to win. They're not going to go out there on the floor and tank. Players
so do you sit them for the fourth quarter?
You sit them tonight on the second of a back-to-back. I hate it when you start guys and then just go, okay, we're just going to quit for the rest of the game. That's what drives me nuts.
So you say you don't play them at all in the games?
No, it's easy. You get the second game of a back-to-back. You're on the road.
What about non-second nights of back-to-backs?
And then guys have sore backs or sore knees. But if you show up and play, then play. That's my point.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, it's pretty nasty when you pull them in the middle of the game. But again, what is the NBA going to say if they haven't said anything yet?
I mean, can you imagine in the National Football League if all of a sudden a team that's trying to tank has a stud quarterback, but they got injuries all over the place, and so halfway through the third quarter, because it's a close game, they take their starting quarterback out? Could you imagine that in the NFL?
I mean, I think at times.
Have they not done this?
I was going to say, at times late in the season, I think you do see teams that are out of it.
But they won't play the quarterback at all.
I mean, I think I think there are a lot of Colts fans that were very content with not seeing Sauce Gardner try to push through it late in the season.
Have you already seen the
And the
Jazz?
Colts didn't have a first-round pick.
The Jazz and the Kings already are ruling out players tonight. It's crazy.
I just think it's subtle, and you got to do it just right.
It's not
That's all
subtle.
I'm saying.
The
No,
whole
not
lineup's
that.
out.
I'm talking in general. If you're going to take, you try to do it in somewhat of a subtle way.
I think, if anything, the legal office is going to have to, they're in meetings trying to figure this out. We can't be putting this product out here where teams are openly doing this.
I almost think that is the best remedy just to make it like the NFL. Flip it, worst record gets the number one pick. And then you use tiebreakers to decide it. Because all this other stuff, what are we really doing?
The NBA is trying to not get the outright tanks based off the percentages.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, in the NFL, it's literally reverse order on your record that James brings up. The NBA, the top 3 teams all have the same odds.
Mm-hmm.
So, to Mark's point, who is it? Is it the Kings that have lost 1 million in a row that have the worst record right now?
Yeah.
If the Pacers finish with the 3rd worst record, they'll have the same amount of odds as the Kings with the 1st worst record. So that they're trying. I understand what they're doing with the percentages. They're trying to, and again, the percentages aren't that great. It's 14% for the number 1 overall team to get that first pick. That's not. It's 14%. Obviously,
I think Jeff is right from a morality standpoint. I just feel like, man, sometimes you got to just push that down a little bit further in case you want to get what you want. Because other teams will not do that in return for you. That's all I think about it. So I'm very curious. I do want to say it's just one game. We don't want to act like the Pacers are on a 5-game winning streak here. But it's a good debate to have here on the show.
The Kings have lost 13 in a row.
If you just keep playing the Noblesville Boom on your roster, if you're the Pacers, you can say, hey, tough year for us. We're going to try to develop as many guys as possible and just go with that line.
Right.
Remember when the Sixers were tanking several years ago? And they literally were just using G League guys every night.
That was pretty bad. I think the league actually might have investigated them.
they weren't even trying with their starting lineup most
to
nights.
Jeff's point, though, the yanking of the players before the 4th quarter,
it feels weird.
Darren Peterson will fit right in wherever he goes.
Mark from the top row. That was great.
It comes back to the Colts. If you look at the end of those seasons before they got Peyton, before they got Andrew Luck, and the wild things that happened in the game, in the Week 18, Week 17 game, for them to get the number 1 overall pick. We live in such a reactionary moment to last night. It's oh my gosh, great win, unbelievable. You beat the Knicks. It's your rival, et cetera, et cetera. If the end result would be getting a Peyton Manning or an Andrew Luck, you think you would take a loss to the Knicks last night?
That's why I say when you put players out there, I guarantee you Pascal Siakam and Andrew Nembhard are I ain't losing to these guys.
No, Siakam was trying to do his part there.
Exactly.
With missing the free throws. Neesmith made a hell of a tank play to foul Karl Anthony Towns.
Investigate the Pacers. But no, the last thing I'll say, I know we got to hit this break, but to Mark's point, if the NBA is really going to look at this, you got to look at the fan product. Because if you are paying to go to these games and see these players play, you know what you – well, maybe you don't know because you might buy tickets well in advance. But even if you do know, you go to the game to see these guys play. You don't go to the game to see Larry Markkinen sit in the 4th quarter. So
I just haven't heard a good answer.
I know, and that's why I think it's such a difficult solution, if there is one to find or tweak this offseason.
The NBA Cup becomes the Tankathon Cup. Winner gets the top pick.
That's it.
Hell, aren't the Thunder in line to maybe even get the top pick with all the draft picks they have?
They actually do have a chance to get the number 1 pick. Could you imagine?
Sam Presti's a genius.
Oh, gosh, he is.
Pacers win 137-134 in overtime. The Pacers playback presented by C&J Water, the official water treatment partner of the Indiana Pacers. CNJWater.com. Coming up in a moment, college basketball is starting to round into full speed ahead, heading down the stretch, getting ready for tournament play. Tell you how Purdue is looking next. I don't even know what to do with myself.
93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Sorry, Mark, I couldn't hear that at the beginning there. Doing all right back there?
Are you okay?
I think so.
We will be.
Yeah, good
Rocking
morning.
and rolling, baby.
It's a Wednesday, and a lot of overtime, a lot of winning last night. Lots of winning last night, James. Pacers win in overtime. Purdue wins in overtime. All kinds of winning last night.
And Pike wins in overtime.
Pike won in overtime.
Boy, I was checking the phone. Every game I was looking at, I'm like, Lord have mercy. Is anything end on time tonight? It did not. Shout out to Caitlin Clark for stopping by Pike.
Extra basketball. Cool. I like the staggered start times. Can we just find a way to make sure all of our teams have staggered start times, Kevin? Can we do that? I like that.
Well, you get a little bit of that tonight with UConn and Butler. That's 7:30. Pacers will also be 7:30. I guess the stagger is more of not 7 o'clock for tonight there. So, again, last night just wild. I mean, the Purdue game, probably their best half of the season. You know, Lawyer and Smith came out just absolutely on fire there, playing inside out. Just great start to the game. And then, boy, you're gripping that wheel like parent and driver's ed down the stretch, those final couple minutes. And huge. CJ Cox, Jack Benter, big shots, creating extra possessions. And then, again, I continue to be struck by just the poise of Fletcher Lawyer on that final possession. I just think you see so much panic. First off, you see coaches call timeouts a ton in the college game in that moment. And I don't know if Matt Painter, I don't think he hit on this after the game. I'm curious, the fact that Rink Mass had fouled out, I was wondering if that crossed his mind at all, because I think the thought, if you take a timeout there, is maybe Nebraska puts a big in the game for Clough. They didn't really have, true bigs in the game there. And just getting Lawyer, he's not even your point guard, but to just all of a sudden calm down, you're kind of stuck in the middle of the lane with it, and you find Clough, and boom, his left hand is special. Great performance from him. Trey Kaufman-Renn on the glass, and Purdue pulls out their second top 10 road win of the year.
He's such a throwback big man. When I watch him, I could hear like every Indiana high school basketball coach saying, "Yeah, that's how you drop step, baby. That's how you throw that little hook there. Skip all those threes. This is real men's basketball. This is how it's supposed to be played."
He had the leverage on him. He had the leverage, and just that, again, his left hand. I mean, he's really good with both of them. I know he missed some free throws last night, but that's the thing for Purdue, is if you're going to have questions defensively with playing Trey Kaufman-Renn and Oscar Clough together, you have got to dominate the glass. It's funny. I mean, I go back to the Ivica Zubats call yesterday when he explained what he's going to bring to the Pacers, and he goes, "I need to punish mismatches, and I need to punish the smalls."
Yeah,
and he's spot on. Miles Turner did not do that. So Turner had other strengths. Zubats, when we pick and roll game with Tyrese, and that small is on me, I need to punish that matchup. And last night, Clough and Kaufman-Renn punished Nebraska in those matchups.
So Kevin, how often in your life, with your stature, have you ever had to punish the smalls? I've never had that opportunity to even, I usually was the small. I was the guy getting punished. And I would use my fouls, but I'm just saying, I want to use that line somewhere in my life.
I do enjoy the occasional one-on-one game with my nephew, because I do feel like I can go
mouse in the house.
I can go Patrick Beverly, mouse in the house. I can show the array of post moves.
Patrick Ewing or Patrick Beverly?
Well, Beverly did the little,
okay.
I was just he's got the gif of him,
Patrick
pointing
Beverly did other things on the basketball court that were a little.
Yeah. Let me be very clear. Patrick Beverly's small gif is what I'm referencing here. Feel free to search that. But yeah, I feel like, can show a little bit of what's in the post-game bag.
I just laughed at that quote because he said it so casually, and I'm like, yeah, that is his life. That's a very large human.
You go to a lot of high school basketball games.
Yeah.
Can you count on one hand how many times you see the team throw it into the post?
Yeah, dude, I don't think many people don't know how to throw it into the post.
30 made threes in the game you were at last night.
Oh, yeah. That's high-level basketball, though. And honestly, they have the Isaiah Hill kid at Pike, who's a 4-star, 5-star recruit, very good player. And to answer your question about him specifically, Kevin, he probably got the ball in the post maybe 3 times, because it just doesn't happen very often.
And he's a top whatever recruit.
Yeah, he's like the number 1 ranked player in the state for his
sitting
class.
there. Yeah. So
that's funny.
Yeah, and then you didn't you say that game Mount Vernon had 11 3-pointers in the first half alone?
Yeah,
that's the game now.
It was drive, kick, and if you help off the one of those short corners, boy, just get it out the net. So that was a fun game. But to get back to Purdue, one thing I don't want to overlook is perhaps the ending of regulation. Does that give you any pause at all, or do you care?
You just get out of there with
because
a win.
you got to win on the road.
Yeah.
It's tough, but I mean, I can feel a certain part of the fan base still being like, man, when we're up double digits or up 20, we got to be able to close better than that.
Yeah.
Very, very fair question. I don't think Purdue fans should walk away in the panic mode, because I look back on the final few minutes, I thought they got great shots.
Yeah.
And if just one of those goes in, the game is iced. The game is over. I mean, Nebraska needed so many things to go their way. And then also think about the guys they got to the foul line. It's not like they
So do you trust them going forward to make those?
Right. I mean, you
honestly, I probably would.
You executed to get Braden Smith, Fletcher Lohr, and CJ Cox on the foul line.
Yeah.
You couldn't have drawn up better players to have on the foul line. Like Purdue, I think what makes fans, nervy is when they have the big turnover number. And yeah, I mean, there was some definitely turnovers that helped Nebraska get back in the game, but late game, I didn't think that was the issue. I mean, I'd have to go back and think, but I didn't think they had a slew of turnovers late in that game. They've obviously had moments where that's been a little bit higher. So I get that very understandably. The cardiologists and the 765 are getting quite a few calls today, but I don't view that as oblique.
I think
this is going to happen again.
Yeah, and I also think if you're Matt Painter, you're happy with that on a couple of different fronts. Afterwards, you say to the guys, look, we got to clean up some things. We've got to hit free throws. That is fair. You talk about that. But when you're on the road, Nebraska has been really good at home.
Oh, yes.
Like amazing at home. When you had a 22-point lead and still 5 or 6 minutes to go, I think they cut it to within 4. Maybe it was a little earlier than that. 2 weeks ago, Purdue loses that basketball game. When they're going through that tough time, they lose that basketball game. So what do? They're down, they go from 22 up to 4 up. Then all of a sudden they get the lead back to 12. Then Nebraska comes back and forces overtime. It'd have been real easy for Purdue to quit on the road, not quit, but the momentum gets going for Nebraska. They're playing at home. They've come from 22 down. Then they've come from 12 down. Now they're back in overtime, and Purdue didn't back away. Now they got a break with the slip. The guy turned the ball over, slipping on the floor. I get that, but they put themselves in position to take advantage of that. Kevin, you talked earlier about the fact that a road win against a really good, hot team like Nebraska at this point in the year could be a line changer, right? You could go up one full line in a week based on that.
Oh, yeah.
Yesterday, when Lunardi had his Monday morning bracket yesterday, Purdue was still on the 3 line. Does that put them on the if they take care of business the rest of this week? Does that put them on the 2 line next week?
Yeah, I mean, you have at Iowa on Saturday. That would be another quad 1 road win. So certainly, I mean, not head-to-head matchups, I don't think matter that much in a 30-game college basketball season, when the brackets are dissected. But did Lunardi have Nebraska as the 2? I'm going to guess he probably did. To me, if a team comes into your own building and they win on the road, you should almost...
Yes, they were a 2.
You should swap those teams.
He had them as a 2 in the West.
Yeah. So, think about the Big Ten right now is you're going to see a lot of 1s, 2s, 3s. And just to remind everybody on Purdue's gauntlet, it's at Iowa on Saturday, and then next week it's at it's Michigan and Indiana.
And Michigan's a 1 seed right now.
So, I mean,
Indiana's in the field now.
You're in it. And boy, it was a wild night. I mean, Illinois, Wisconsin, James.
Oh, painful.
That was a crazy finish. Wisconsin deserved that, I think, after the Saturday game. And so that's who Indiana will get on Sunday. It'll be Indiana at Illinois coming up. That's 1 o'clock CBS here. So February for both teams, for Matt Painter and Darren DeVries, it is loaded.
Yeah, Illinois is your Illini are a 2 seed right now.
I know they had won, I think, 12 in a row, lost the last 2, and I should probably start guarding Lamar Wilkerson right now.
You, personally.
Yes. I don't need him going down to Champaign, putting those buckets on my team. So we'll see how it shakes out. But I have enjoyed watching a lot of Big Ten basketball, honestly, a lot more than in past years. I feel like the teams, maybe the game is kind of advancing in that manner, but the amount of shooting that you see from these teams is pretty impressive. I know Tyrese Halliburton famously did not go to a Big Ten program a few years back. We were joking about some game, I believe Illinois might have lost an NCAA tournament, And while he's warming up for a game, he says, what happened to your Illinois? And I was like, well, you couldn't get into, Iowa. That's why you went to Iowa State. And he was like, well, I would never watch Big Ten basketball because that's slow, pick and rim running. He's like, we play real basketball in my conference. So I'm glad to see the Big Ten and honestly the Big 12 playing good basketball this year.
Number of teams in the bracket right now. Big Ten has 10, according to Lenardi. This is his projection, 10 teams in the field. Then you have the SEC with 10 teams. 8 for the ACC, 7 for the Big 12, and then it goes way down from there with other conferences. But.
Yeah, I just think top-heavy wise, though, and the Big 12 and the Big 10 are probably the two that stand out to me the most.
Can they end the drought? 26 years without a national title, right? Michigan State right here in the RCA Dome.
Is that true? Oh, wow, it's been that long. Dang, I hadn't thought about that, but wow. I would not have guessed that, Kevin.
I can't recall a mid-February where the Big Ten has looked like this in quite a while.
Yeah.
When you have legitimately Matt Painter goes on Scott Van Pelt last night and he kind of started to rattle off the teams that can get on a run. I mean, it's quite impressive when you think about it. Speaking of, I guess, a little bit on the college front, James, did you see your guy at The Athletic, Dane Brugler, came out with his top 100 prospects for the draft?
I did see this, and Dane is legit. For those who are curious, he's like our NFL draft guru, and I believe, at least I'm exaggerating, but I picture him just sitting in a dark room all year watching tape and then stepping out into the sun and releasing his information and then going back into the cave.
Mark, we should book him for the Combine 2 weeks from whatever, I guess today.
He was great
down
last
there.
Year.
Yeah. He has Omar Cooper Jr. as the 27th overall prospect. So, we had Dane on back in the fall. I think it was Colts bye week. So, mid-November. And I think he thought, Cooper, kind of a day 2 pick, so second or third round. And then Elijah Surratt, he mentioned as a top 100 player. So he has Cooper, again, just based off top prospects, not a mock draft. He's got him in round 1, just based off, obviously 27 overall. He had D'Angelo Pons at 40, and then he had Elijah Surratt at 65. So he has those IU players very high, I think based off where, he thought they were maybe earlier in the draft cycle there. So could Omar Cooper Jr. become a first-round pick here in 2.5 months?
Oh, boy. I could see it. I could certainly see it. And then I have to imagine when you get into the interview process, he's going to be somebody that impresses there as well.
So we're already talking about football and the Combine coming up pretty quickly here, and then we'll start getting ready for free agency.
The world revolves around football.
Always.
Jeff.
It's every day.
The offseason
every
where?
day. Every single day.
This is true.
It goes around football. And I'm here for that. I don't mind that. In fact, I always tell my wife, maybe one of the saddest days here. Thank goodness we had some really good basketball this week, because one of the saddest days of the year is the day after the Super Bowl. You're like, there's no more football for a while.
That is true.
127 million people watched that. Well, I take that back. Average of 124 million people watching the Super Bowl the other day.
Shout out to Bad Bunny. I think he
128.
pulled in a few million.
128 million the average for the halftime show.
What do those numbers mean?
Money.
I have no idea what that means. Is that a lot?
I never know.
Yes, that's 128 million people in the United States of America watching the same program at the same time.
But I always wonder how that tallies, like for Super Bowl parties or bars and all that stuff. Like, how are they?
Yeah,
I don't think TV ratings are so odd. Like I hear these figures and I'm like, I mean, those are obviously big numbers. And I see the rankings at the end of the year. Like, sports are 80 of the top 100 most watched live events, but I'm like,
the audience for Sunday's game peaked at 137.8 million viewers during the second quarter. That was between 7:45 and 8 p.m. That is a record, surpassing the previous mark of 137.7 million during last year's second quarter of the Super Bowl.
Well, there you go. That's what I base it off.
That's why you get $8 million for a 30-second commercial, because you're literally your message is literally reaching 1 out of every 3 Americans.
So Patriots Seahawks set a record of the second quarter. That's surprising to me. I would have assumed more competitive Super Bowls with bigger name quarterbacks would have eclipsed that.
Now, here's the question, though. Out of those 128 million people, 137 at that point, how many of them really are invested in the outcome of the game?
I think they're waiting for Bad Bunny. Seriously.
They might be.
Like
It might be.
So was Bad Bunny the highest rated halftime show?
No, it was 4th all time. Kendrick Lamar was number 1.
that doesn't surprise me. Nothing unifies people more than hate because people, boy, the amount of hate that Kendrick Lamar has for Drake.
And him and Drake, right, had the big beef, if I remember correctly.
We all tuned in to see Kendrick Lamar disparage that man on national television. That was hilarious.
Top 3, Kendrick Lamar, Michael Jackson, and Usher.
Wow. That is something.
So the Kendrick Lamar Super Bowl was who?
Boy,
I don't
was it
remember
just
who
last
that
year
was.
that he did this? So was it Philadelphia in
Was it last year?
the Chiefs?
It was the Eagles Chiefs.
Like, I don't get why that game then wouldn't have been. I mean, Patriots Seahawks?
That was last year. Now I'm
Patriots
talking
Seahawks
about
was the second
I'm talking
most,
about
right?
the peak was a record. Now the overall average
overall
was
average
not
was-
a record. The overall average was like 124.9 million. The peak, that 15-minute period, they measured at 137.
Kevin, you're doing the nod that I did back in high school when I was in trigonometry or calculus, and I was thinking, whatever you're saying right now, I will not remember when I'm in these shoes that I'm in currently as a 30-year-old.
What can I do for you not to call on me?
The point
That's all I'm thinking right now. Jeff, you are so far over my head right now.
Here's the thing. They're not
KB's counting
separated
out
by
the class and saying,
Just
when do I have to
please
read?
Don't call on me.
Here's the point that I
Please
always
don't call me.
make though about the National Football
Need to
League.
sharpen my pencil.
I'll make it. This is ratings, Super Bowl ratings for dummies. This is my book right now. It doesn't matter if they were 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th this year. What matters is you're going to get this massive audience every year. And the National Football League, as was stated in a movie by Albert Brooks, a great line, they own a day of the week. The National Football League owns a day of the week to the point where when you look at the top 20 highest rated television programs any given year, I don't care. Sometimes the Olympics can change things a little bit.
Yeah.
But for the most part, 17, 18 of the top 20 highest rated shows on television every year are football games. Sometimes a Monday night game in the middle of the season.
Yeah, and that's why I think when it comes to like the halftime performer, and I won't get too far into this, but to me, the number one reason you choose Bad Bunny or you choose Kendrick Lamar, you choose someone who, I mean, my parents are listening to these people. I didn't understand anything of the halftime show. Is money. Like, you want to bring in some money? You want to bring in some attention? That's what you're going to do.
I know, I've kind of thought about that, like the Indy 500 with like who's doing the green flag or driving the pace car.
Yeah.
You know, do you have a racing dignitary or do you realize, hey, while that's nice pageantry for the event itself, you already have all those people
exactly
in the building or watching.
Exactly.
You know, why don't you bring in your whatever?
Right. Everyone can't be a P1 listener.
Is it Michael Strahan or was that last year? Tom Brady? Trying to think of
Tom Brady was there last year, I believe.
You know, one thing that I noticed
Did
this
Gronk
year.
do something last year as well?
And maybe
Yeah,
I just
the Fox
missed it.
connection, of course, with a lot of that.
Maybe I just missed that. But one of the things that was really cool about the Super Bowl last year, I thought, was the IndyCar promos that were being run. You remember those?
Well, I mean,
those were cool.
The New Garden
Obviously
commercial.
different network, but
I mean, anybody watched the Purdue game last night, you saw the New Garden commercial multiple times.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
FS1, obviously.
Yeah. And that's why you see, even during regular season games, whether it's a basketball game or an NFL game, the courtside seats they save are for the stars of their current TV show that they're pushing. The stars didn't say, hey, let's just go to a basketball game. Fox calls them up and goes, hey, we really want to promote your show. We're doing promos throughout the broadcast, but we'd like to put you on the front row so that we can get your mug on TV a couple of times and talk about the fact that your show is coming up after the basketball game.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's kind of how it all works out. In the meantime, let's check it down, Mark Dykton.
The Morning Checkdown, brought to you by the Barbasol Horizon League Basketball Championships. March starts here. The Barbasol Horizon League Basketball Championships with NCAA tournament bids on the line. March 8th through 10th. Tickets and more at horizonleague.com/Indy.
Men, we haven't mentioned this yet as Purdue wins in overtime at Nebraska last night, but Braden Smith set another record. Has now played more minutes in a Purdue uniform than any other player in school history. How about that?
I feel like he's kind of in like that LeBron, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant range where every night when you play at this point, you're breaking some record.
Purdue broke Nebraska. It took overtime, 80-77 the final score. Boilers out-rebounded the Huskers 52-33 by 19. And not surprisingly, Trey Kaufman-Renn had 19 rebounds of his own, Kevin Boney. Owned the glass last night.
Well, he owned it. I think he co-owned it with Oscar Clough. I don't want to lose sight of Clough. I think he had 10 offensive rebounds. Tremendous. And when Purdue obviously needed to have someone bail them out in overtime, it was Clough taking advantage and making a play. Great read by Fletcher Lawyer to find him there. And Purdue survives. Another great-looking item on the resume for them. Off to Iowa coming up on Saturday evening.
Fletcher Lawyer had 18 points in that game.
Big three to start overtime.
Yeah, was good. They get the win, James, despite only going 11 of 20 from the free throw line. And they missed some big ones late that might have averted overtime.
Yeah, I know Indiana's known for being the basketball state. I'm like, we got to work on the fundamentals, fellas. Got to make some free throws. That way we don't have to send anybody to the cardiologist.
Also in college basketball last night, SMU beat Notre Dame 89-81. And Kevin, you were talking about A.J. DeBonsa in his college basketball game was a monster last night.
Monster, 37-7 for him. Really a crazy night of college hoops. Obviously, Purdue-Nebraska game, Wisconsin over Illinois was a great game as well. President Bush, by the way, front row to watch the Irish. How about that? And they're going to the Vatican. Notre Dame basketball is pretty relevant, people.
What's the lead that we buried last hour that you were mad at me for about Notre Dame football?
Notre Dame basketball.
Basketball. So.
Going to Rome next year. To play Villanova. Pope Leo. Villanova product, right?
Well, I'll tell you what, Kevin. I don't think those dignitaries have anything on you and Rake.
You and Rake going to that game?
Yeah, that's the one to go to.
Gosh,
you and Rake going to that game?
Can you imagine?
I'll go with you to go to that game.
Gosh, can you help me with some funds?
I was going to say, we need to get some sponsorships from the show here to get us over there to Rome.
Or at least tell your brother to cancel the national championship trip to Vegas and play in Italy.
Slightly different than me putting 4 Oreos in a baggie and saying thank you to Rake via that way.
I'm gonna put a request for a meeting in with Andrea Kerr. We'll see if we can get this thing going.
Hey, shout out to the boss.
See if we can get this thing going. Maybe Bullseye Events will help us out over there. Also in basketball last night, NBA, the Pacers won in overtime, 137-134. Pascal Siakam had 30 points. Quentin Jackson, 19 points, 6 boards. Andrew Nembhard was terrific, 24 points and 10 assists. 8 different Pacers in double figures. They win in New York. I want to say this again. On a night when Jalen Brunson scores 40, Josh Hart has a triple-double, and 22 each for Karl Anthony Towns and Mikal Bridges. It is Market Square Garden there. The Pacers just own that place.
They really do have their number, and it's funny to see that rivalry continue even in a season like this.
It's wild to look at Mark's Twitter poll. 90% of people want the tank. So 90% of people are mad about last night. Think about that. You just beat the Knicks in a crazy game. In the most lead changes, I think Kristen Airy said the most lead changes in an NBA game all season. Wild game. And 90% of people are mad. Like, what?
I just want to beat the Knicks and the Bucks the rest of the way, and then you can lose every other game.
Can you be that picky?
Yes.
Yes, you can, Kevin.
You can always ask for it all. High school basketball last night. James, you were in attendance as Pike outlasted Mount Vernon in overtime, 84-81. Despite Mount Vernon hitting 11 three-pointers in the first half, Jahari Miller led the way with 28 points for Park. Luke Ertl had 26 for Mount Vernon. And who was in attendance last night?
Yeah, I was not the dignitary in attendance last night. I think that belongs to Caitlin Clark as far as fame and notoriety. She is at the top of the list. So, yeah, I was sitting there, and a couple rows up, I looked to my left. I'm like, wait a second, I know her. She's pretty big time. So she saw a great game last night, and obviously one of the best shooters in the world, seeing some great shooting on display at the high school level.
The Athletic, I saw, had an article yesterday about the highest paid women in sports, and most of the women don't make most of their money through salary. They make it through endorsements. Caitlin's on the list at about $12 million, but Eileen Gu, the Olympian, who went from the United States to China to participate, she's making $33 million a year, and almost all of it is in endorsements.
Just give it time. I'm sure Caitlin will be catching up very soon.
Getting to the JMV and Kevin Bowen endorsement level right there.
There you go.
Now we're just lying.
Well, I don't know if you're on the same level of JMV. I hear his voice everywhere.
Speaking of the...
You know the answer to that.
Yeah. Speaking of the Olympics, the medals table right now, the United States, 5th overall with 2 gold medals in the gold medal rankings. Norway leading the way with 6 gold medals, Switzerland with 4, Germany with 3, Sweden with 3. And yesterday, The Coreys in mixed curling get a silver, Kevin. I know you were disappointed.
Yeah, right up there with that Notre Dame Cal loss from a few weeks back for me in terms of excruciating pain. That woman, Isabella, the Swedish woman with the glasses. Oh my gosh, you want to talk about precision? Drew Brees level accuracy, just absurd. Looked like Steph against Serbia.
The Kevin Bowen Curling Podcast coming soon, Mark Dykton. You'll be
she
producing
was so
that.
good.
Curling with a K, so that we get some
It was
alliteration.
heartbreaking. I felt bad. Kathy O is our coach.
Big news yesterday, the U.S. women's hockey team just all over Team Canada, 5-0. That wraps up the round-robin portion of things, and I got a sense those two are going to meet again when they're going for medals here the next week or two. So we'll see how that all works out. And the men's hockey team starts tomorrow. Men's hockey in general starts today, but I think the men play for the United States tomorrow for the first time. So anything else you guys want to throw in before we move along?
Well, yeah, got to mention again Butler tonight. You can hear that over on Fuego, 7:30 tip. They have got the Yukon Huskies inside of Hinkle Fieldhouse. It is Project 44 night, so the honoring of Andrew Smith and the awareness for bone marrow registry is always an annual thing that Butler's done. So looking forward to that tonight. And from a point guard standpoint, James, I know you mentioned it late in the show yesterday, Stink Robinson done for the year.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you got Thomas Jackson or Mike Green on line 1 or Avery Sheets on line 2, but oh boy. They only dressed 9 dudes, scholarship dudes last game. Jamie Kaiser's been sick. So just really kind of decimated from a body standpoint. We'll see. They're only I thought they'd be a bigger underdog than 10.5 points, frankly.
All right, the other game tonight.
Braylon Mullins, of course, back inside of his home state.
Speaking of shooting, one of the best shooters I've ever seen.
He's been pretty much a double-figure guy since coming back from
Once he
injury.
got healthy,
Yeah.
you could see the not only great collegiate talent, but the NBA talent.
UConn very balanced.
Yeah, he'll get paid to play basketball someday.
All right, and Pacers will be playing here on 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. They take on the Nets starting at 7:30 tonight, and you can hear Mark Boyle, the great Mark Boyle, on the call for that one. So great basketball tonight. Pacers, and then over on Fuego, Butler. And if you want to go see, I don't know, are there tickets left for that game tonight against UConn?
I don't think
That's
so.
what the secondary market's for.
I would assume there are.
All right, we'll check that out, and we'll talk more basketball in a moment. Here, also top of the hour, we have the head coach of the last undefeated college basketball team coming by, Kevin Bowen. That'll be fun.
Yeah, Travis Steele, plenty of Indiana connections. So looking forward to that conversation. Again, Miami of Ohio, an unbelievable story this season. Like Jeff said, the lone undefeated. So, yeah, he'll join us coming up at 9.
All right, more basketball talk. We'll check the text line for the first time this morning at 239-1070. You got a message you want to get across? Now's the time to do it as we continue. 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Yeah! What? Check this out, right? Yeah!
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
I mean, we don't change. What? We the mother.
Go, JB.
I feel like actually like walking out like preparing for a fight or something. Like I'm.
That could be your walk-up song right there.
Walk up and get knocked out. I ain't boxing nobody. Do they have a weight class for me? The 140 division, lightweight,
Pillow weight.
yeah, pillow weight.
I like it.
Do I have Indiana Bones written on my shorts, Mark? Is that the brand about
Skull
going
and
to the boxing?
crossbones.
There you go, Indiana Bones, baby.
I like it. What's your walk-up song, Kevin?
Lose Yourself, Eminem.
I like that's not a bad one.
That's actually a great walk-up song. You better lose yourself.
How many shots? How many opportunities?
There you go.
Yeah. One opportunity.
Boy. Well, I know we don't need to go there, but I did do the not annual, I feel like it's like monthly whenever I see my family. I went home and started the whole, Pops, you think you could take Ronda Rousey? And he's like, I'd knock her out. And I'm like, no, you would not. He thinks that he could beat her in a legitimate fight. And we argue over this. I know I've talked about it before. He is still delusional, folks. He thinks that he could legitimately take down Ronda Rousey. And I said, why would you think that? And because he thinks that he would lose a boxing match against like Clarissa Shields. And I'm like, well, what's the difference? He was like, well, with me and Ronda Rousey, ain't no rules. And I'm like, there's rules, and she would use a lot of them against you. Shout out to, Pops. He'll be 66 this year, and he would get his you-know-what whooped.
And once she gets him to the ground, she just put him in that hole where you're looking at basically a separated shoulder if you move wrong.
I'm serious. I honestly don't think I make my dad that upset really ever. I mean, I think I'm a pretty good son. But when I bring that topic up and just push the button, boy, Mr. Boyd gets a little antsy there.
It's the Fan Morning Show with Kevin Bowen, James Boyd, Mark Dykton over there on the other side of the glass. We have not yet talked about, I'm Jeff Rickard, by the way. We have not yet talked about the Colts in the aftermath of the Super Bowl. They got to start trying to put their team together to make a run at the better teams in the NFL, and they got a lot of decisions to make. We've been talking about that. You got a piece coming up, too. What are you working on, James?
Yeah, so today I put out my top 5 Colts players that will be free agents, ranked in order of who I think the team needs to prioritize retaining. And so number one on that list is obviously Daniel Jones. I know some people might think, wait, Daniel Jones? Yes, because he's a quarterback. I think the best player on this list is Alec Pierce. So from a league-wide perspective, he's probably number one. But from a team need perspective, Daniel Jones, I will put him number one. So Daniel Jones, number one. Alec Pierce, number 2. Number 3 is Nick Cross. So those are your 3 starters that are going into unrestricted free agency. And then you have, Kevin, I was sitting there like, how do I get to 5? What are my 5? I went with Neville Gallimore, backup defensive tackle, mainly because he was cheap and good last year.
I thought he was terrific.
I mean, he was on like a $1 million contract, and he gave you more than, not to be petty, but he gave you more than some of the guys like Kwity Paye and others who were paid considerably more at, trying to get to the quarterback or create some plays or just some disruption in the backfield. And then rounding out my top 5, I had Mo Ali Cox. I know people are like, why would you bring him back? Because you can always use a blocking tight end. And I think it's underrated.
Who can catch a little bit, too.
Exactly.
So no Braden Smith?
I did not have Braden Smith. I did not have Kwity Paye on my top 5. And I did not have, I think Jermaine Pratt was one I mentioned. But as far as the bigger names, Kwity Paye and Braden Smith are the 2. And I left them off because, one, Kwity Paye was very underwhelming last year. I believe he had 4 sacks. I actually looked it up, Kevin. So as much as I criticize Laiatu Latu for not being like a star already, he had 8.5 sacks last year. And then you look at the rest of that group combined, Kwity Paye, Tyquan Lewis, and I'm blanking on the last name here.
Samson Ebukam.
They had 9 combined. And all 3 of those guys are unrestricted free agents, and I think all 3 should not be brought back, quite honestly.
And I think, to me, I fall into the trap of sacks. I like to look at pressures, too, because I think there's a consistency element that's a little bit better indicator there, and it tells the same story.
Yeah.
Like, those guys just didn't have consistent pressure either. Jermaine Pratt, I think, is an interesting one just because what are you doing with Zaire Franklin?
And that's why I thought about putting him on the list, but until I know what you do with Zaire, I'm not so sure if I can like commit to bringing Jermaine Pratt back because I think they need to upgrade at linebacker significantly.
I think one of the two starting jobs need to be someone new.
Yeah.
But do you really want to do both?
Right.
And again, that's more of a Lou Anarumo question. The guy's never really been a big believer in playing the young guys. So, the Brayton Smith thing, I think, comes down to so many finances with that.
And I think they've also invested, Kevin, in potentially replacing him with whether it be Matt Gonzalez or Jalen Travis. So I was thinking to myself.
Right. You can kind of pass the torch
there.
Mark, do you have this audio about Alec Pierce? Yeah, I know Ben Solak from The Ringer brought up a team the other day for Alec Pierce in free agency here.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead and cue this up, Mark.
Yeah, so this was on Up and Adams with Kay Adams. She was going over the top 5 free agents of where, that there are potential free agents and where he thinks they should land, and this was what he said.
Here, it's a couple of weeks away. I'd like to hear your top 5 free agent moves you'd like to see happen. Let's start at 5.
Alec Pierce to the Patriots, I'm very enthusiastic about. Pierce is this big downfield receiver, most explosive receptions per touch this year in the NFL. Drake May, we've seen, be a highly explosive passer. He's got a great downfield ball. Stephon Diggs doesn't really have that juice, right? Demario Douglas is kind of their speed guy. You really saw the Seahawks not fear those two players in particular in this game. And so I think you'd like to see a bigger, stronger X receiver who can win some of those backside balls, some of those contested balls, but then also has the ability to win with speed down the field. And so Pierce from the Colts is going to make a lot of money. I think he's going to be the one that surprises a lot of people.
Ben brings up a lot of good points there, but the Colts have the control.
Right.
They can just tag him.
And that's where that when he was talking, I was like, Patriots.
Because if you're going to give Daniel Jones the multi-year deal, then that means the franchise tag is still available to use.
Right.
And then I just think you use it on Pierce. It's $28 million. I get that some people will, not love that number, but I think that's pretty realistic to what he would garner on the open market there, especially if George Pickens is going to get tagged by the Cowboys.
Can I throw an option to you with that?
That's really just it's not that big of a debate. When I see the audio, I know it's jarring to hear to a lot of people, but I don't think it's that big of a debate.
So what if the Colts franchise tag Alec Pierce and the Patriots come calling and say, we would like to sign him because you get the trade compensation, right? The Colts are without a couple of first-round picks. The Patriots come knocking and say, we want Alec Pierce, and you get 2 first-round picks for him.
Mark, what world are you living in?
I was going to say,
where are you getting 2 first-round picks for Alec Pierce and wide receiver?
Well, I'm saying, don't you get if the Patriots? Isn't the rule like if you get a franchise, if a franchise tag is placed on a player and then another team tries to get them, they get 2 first-round picks for it? Isn't that the rule? And the Colts are without 2 first-round picks.
I actually have to look at this.
Well, nobody's trading 2 first-round picks.
Well, I'm just saying.
I mean, let's just start there. He's not Sauce Gardner playing a premium position at the age of 25 on a reasonable contract.
I totally agree that he's not. But since you're without the 2 first-round picks, if the Patriots are legit wanting Alec Pierce as their number 1 wide receiver, and they're like, hey, we just need this. We've got the quarterback. This and that. We're just in the Super Bowl. Our first-round picks are going to be lower tier anyway. We could sign this guy and we'll be okay getting rid of him.
Foxborough. And do that. But that's not. I don't
never
think
say never.
I'm looking this up, Mark. There is no specific rule that I can find where it says you have to give up the 2 first-round picks. I think that conversation really got lit up in this market because of
Lamar Jackson,
the situation with Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
And so that everyone was thinking the baseline there because he's a great quarterback and all of that. But yeah,
that
think
was restricted. Was that exclusive rights or?
Yeah, it was very convoluted. I actually wrote a piece about it, years ago, talking about could the Colts do this. So yeah, I think that's where you're kind of getting that information from, Mark. But I don't think it's a hard and set rule. But even then, I understand what you're saying. It's like if you do tag them, do you then listen to potential other tag and trade options? Maybe you do, but I think if you tag them, your intent is to keep him. And we know how the Colts feel about developing players. And again, you can't afford to lose him and potentially Michael Pittman Jr.
Yeah. We'll keep an eye on it for you all offseason long, and our coverage from the Combine starts in just a couple of weeks as we are the home of the Indianapolis Colts, and you'll hear all kinds of stuff about them every day, most of the day. But coming up in a moment, one of the more bizarre stories in sports I've seen in a long time. We had an Olympian break down in a post-event press conference yesterday and admit to cheating, but it's not what you think. Where do you hear this?
I share, working on a night move.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
You got a playlist just for me today, Mark. I'm digging this, man.
There's a theme.
Oh, there's always a theme. I'm just saying the particular songs within your theme are fantastic.
Well, good. I'm glad I'm going to be a part of your Spotify Wrapped later.
There you go. I'll have to go to your Twitter account and find out the actual playlist from today.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
I don't know, James, I think you saw this. I don't know if you caught this yesterday. The headline caught my attention. Norwegian biathlete breaks down during TV interview because he admitted to cheating, but it's not the kind of cheating you think. This is a 20-kilometer biathlon. Norwegian skier Sturla Holm Ligrid, I believe is how you pronounce it, broke down in an interview after the event with the Norwegian Broadcasting Corporation, confessing to cheating on his now ex-girlfriend, pleading with her to take him back during the interview. That's a new one for me, James Boyd. I've never seen that one.
What a dork. Could you imagine doing that? Like, you've already cheated on her. You're on the biggest stage of your life, and you embarrass her further.
He said,
Just
quote,
a clown.
I told her a week ago, and it's been the worst week of my life. I had a gold medal in life, and there's probably a lot of people out there who look at me differently now, but I only have eyes for her. Sports has taken a bit of a backseat these past couple of days. Yeah, I wish I could share this with her, unquote. Can't put that one back in the bag.
He's going to be like the Coldplay lady, be the keynote speaker at all these.
I mean, what are we doing?
Now, here's what I don't understand. Did this happen like at the Olympic Village? Because we know how things get there.
Oh, jeez. Oh.
I don't know how things get there. I've never
you've
been
not
to the
seen-
Olympic
Village. One of the.
I've never been. I've just heard.
One of the lesser. I think it's well known now. Mark, isn't it fairly well known?
Yeah, they stock up on condoms ahead of the time.
And they run out of them.
Is there still a village? Is that still a thing?
Yeah.
Don't we have multiple sites here for the? I mean,
well, there's two sites, but they have a village on each site.
And like the Olympic athletes are really staying in the villages still.
So here's all you need to know.
The village is down in Florida.
I mean, it's pretty much basic biology, right? You've got these elite, unbelievably.
Are you giving me the birds and the bees conversation right now?
This is the sex talk.
Here it is. You have these.
Kids are in school by now.
I really hope everybody's dropped their kids off.
But
at
it makes
school.
sense.
I mean, I didn't know anything about this.
You have these unbelievably fit, incredible athletes who've been laser focused on one thing and one thing only for like 3, 4, 5, 8 years. And then all of a sudden, their events come and go, and they're done with the event, and they're still hanging around for a couple of days, and everybody's got a lot of unused energy they got to use. You know what I'm saying, James?
The sex talk from your boss has got to be something.
I'm about to say, what the heck is going on?
This is Mark.
Right?
Is this not a fairly well-known story? The last several Olympics.
I myself have been locked in on this story. Yeah, I'm very familiar. I'm no Olympic athlete, but I'm very familiar with the Olympic Village story.
I forget which Olympics it was, but there was one of them that the beds that they actually built for the Olympics in the Village were made out of cardboard and only designed to hold like 200 to 230 pounds.
Got to get a bit inventive then.
Mark knows this. I'm not making any of this up.
No, this is accurate.
Yeah. So there you go. That things you didn't know about the Olympics and the Olympic Village, James.
I learned a lot of things within the last minute or so on this show.
Jeff keeps on turning to Mark behind the glass. Like,
well, you guys are leaving me hanging out to dry as
Here's
always,
our
so that's how that works.
I thought you were going to talk about the
Mark
hydraulic
Dighton
acid
behind the glass
doping
over here.
concerns. You hear about that one?
I did hear about that one. I don't know if we can really talk about that one on air.
Jeff G texting in said, "You are correct. You are correct."
Well, he's talking about he's correct about the first round pick. You want to read the full text? Like, he's not correct. What? Oh, man.
Are we lying on the text line again, Jeff?
No.
We're bending the truth a little bit there. I mean, he
Jeff
didn't
G
say he was correct
said,
about that.
He said you may have already been texted this, found on operations.nfl.com. 2 first-round picks for a non-exclusive franchise tag if the offer from the other team is not matched. That's what he was saying was correct. But
there you go. You can't always trust the boss man with the text line.
I was just trying to get out of the conversation. That's all. All right, coming up in a minute, Kevin. I'm looking forward to this. I think you
really
set
hope
this one up,
Travis
right?
Steele hasn't been listening to the show here.
Woo!
So yeah,
maybe Travis is glad he's listening to the show. We'll talk to the head coach of the Miami of Ohio Redhawks coming up next. It's 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
We Grow Hair Indy. They are the gold standard when it comes to hair restoration, and they're ready to help you out today. Online, it's WeGrowHairIndy.com. And brick and mortar wise, that would be building number 2 up at the Pyramids, northwest side, of course. You get a lot of questions, okay? You know, what were your curiosity kind of going into this process? And that's why I encourage people. Free evaluation, private evaluation, all of that is available to you at We Grow Hair Indy. You know, you see the Instagram ads, you see all of a sudden, hey, I had this operation done, you know, whatever, out of the state, out of the country. It's a great deal. Well, I don't know if the results are going to be too flattering for you there. Not my experience at all at We Grow Hair Indy. Again, we're fortunate to have them right here in our own backyard, and they are the best in the business. Darren Andrews and his staff ready to answer the questions that you have today. So again, contact them. WeGrowHairIndy.com. A free evaluation, a virtual evaluation, easy for me to say. All of that awaits up on the northwest side, building number 2 at the Pyramids. And online, it's WeGrowHairIndy.com.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Good morning. Welcome into the Fan Morning Show as we go through college basketball quite extensively today. Purdue with an overtime win at Nebraska last night. Butler going to be hosting UConn, one of the best teams in the nation, later on tonight over at Hinkle. Indiana's had a couple of big wins lately, and it is different. We got an overtime win for the Pacers last night. Basketball hits different here in Indiana, and this week has been a perfect example why, James.
Absolutely. A lot of overtime basketball between the Pacers.
High school.
And, you're looking at the college ranks with Purdue, and then obviously, like you said, Jeff, the high school ranks as well. I saw a great one last night. 30 3-pointers in a high school basketball game. Boy, they were getting them up. And, I would say that both teams, Pike and Mount Vernon, shot very well from the field. Caitlin Clark in attendance. She can appreciate the long-range accuracy. So, hey, I got to see a sweet game for, what was it, $8? Not bad.
Kevin, is last night's game and the overtime win on the road against Nebraska, is that the kind of thing we talked about how it can affect your seed line and stuff like that, but in terms of where Purdue has been, they had that 3-game losing streak. They've now won 3 games since then. Does it feel like they're starting to get their mojo back a little bit? Does that game kind of move them forward internally?
Yeah, I think you got to string things together. Obviously the Oregon game over the weekend was a struggle, but that was a great result. I try not to fall in the trap of like one game all of a sudden changes everything. I think it's more of can you string some things together? And they've got quite the gauntlet again coming up here in February, but nonetheless, big time result for them last night.
We have one remaining undefeated team in college basketball in Division I this year. Obviously, we saw Arizona go down the other night, but right now, the Redhawks at Miami of Ohio are the lone undefeated team in America, and their head coach joins us now on the Payless Liquors hotline. No stranger to these parts, Travis Steele. Happy to have you on the Fan Morning Show this morning. How things going for you? I would think pretty well right now.
Yeah, things are going great. I appreciate you guys having me on.
Coach, again, appreciate the time. Obviously, tons of Indiana connections. I think our audience realizes that from your coaching staff and even some of your players. I wanted to start there. Pete Suter, Justin Kirby. You go up to Hamilton County, those names quite familiar, kind of different paths to Oxford. And I think Justin, maybe even there was a thought he might redshirt. But if you don't mind, can we start there? Let's start with Pete Suter first and exactly the role, how you guys got him, and what he's meant to your team.
Yeah, so when I took the job here at Miami a couple years ago, he was already committed and signed to go to Bellarmine down in Louisville. And we actually played Bellarmine my first year here. Now, we didn't win many games my year one, but we did beat Bellarmine. And I'll never forget, I told our staff during the middle of the game, I said, why the heck isn't Peter Suter here at Miami? I said, man, he's my type of guy. So fast forward, a year and a half later, well, Pete enters the transfer portal. And I had actually just taken a commitment from another kid the day that he had entered the portal and at his position. And so I had to actually, once Pete entered the portal, I actually had to call that young man back and tell him I was going a different direction. And I had no idea whether I could get Pete or not. And thank God we ended up getting him because we went all in on him. And, Pete for us is one of our leaders. He is, to me, one of the best players in all of college basketball, man. He could play anywhere. He's an absolute winner, tough. Defensively, he's tremendous. Offensively, he can score 37. He could go get 10 assists in a game. He's just he's a winner. He won at Carmel High School. He just wins. And then, a guy like Justin Kirby, who you mentioned, Justin, he really come on late there at Fishers. Obviously another great high school program. You think about Carmel's, they always win. Ryan Osborne, Garrett Weingarten always wins up at Fishers. And Justin, you could just see the immense upside that he had and that his best basketball was ahead of him. Well, all of a sudden this year, he was injured and sick in the preseason a lot. So I said, hey, probably the best thing is going to be the red shirt. And then all of a sudden, our point guard went down with a season-ending injury in December. And I said, hey, listen, let's have a conversation about burning the red shirt. And he was like, Coach, I'm all in. And he has just taken off since then. And, again, another guy that has just a two-way player that has an immense upside, winner. Both are great, great young men. So we're super, super happy that we have them here at Miami.
So we have Travis Steele here on the line, the coach of Miami of Ohio, and the last undefeated team in men's basketball in the country. Coach, I did get a chance to see Justin Kirby last year actually playing for Fishers, who I feel like they haven't lost a regular season game in forever. They always win, like you said. Yep. But when you look at your program, you're on quite the winning streak as well. Do you talk about the streak at all? Is it like taboo to do so? But even beyond that, how have you all just approached this season to get to this point and what you're building?
Yeah, it's a great question, and it's we just kind of live it day to day. I've told our guys I could care less about the streak. I'm happy for our players and our university for getting the recognition and attention that we've gotten, but it's just all about the process, right? It's embracing the process, the day to day. Are we getting a great lift in today? Are we watching film and getting better? Are we practicing? Are we maximizing that hour of practice that we're on the floor? I have this quote above my desk. It's be obsessed with trajectory and not the results. And are we getting better? Or are we not? Like, we need to peak in March, right? That's all I care about. And our guys know that. And so we've really enjoyed listen, I know you got to enjoy the moment, right? And you want to be where your feet are, man. This has been a super, super fun ride with these guys. I'm blessed just to be a part of it. And it's been a ton of fun. Even like the bus rides, the long bus rides, the hotels, man, we have a lot of fun together. We keep it loose, but at the same time, we work really, really hard.
One of the things that's as I've watched your team and then I went back and looked at it last night, knowing we were having you on, you've had your share of steamrolling teams, no question about that. But of your games, you've had 3 wins in overtime and 3 or 4 others that have been decided by 2 or 3 points. What is it about that I always think winning close games consistently tells you how your team is doing? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's good to get put in every situation. You practice those special situations in practice, but to be able to do it live game is a different situation, right? I mean, it's just different. And we've been in every situation. We've been up by 5, lost the lead, and with 2 minutes to go. We've been down by 5 with 2 minutes to go and took it to overtime. Winners find a way. Even when they don't necessarily play well, they find a way. And our guys have I've used the word a lot, unflappable with our guys. We are calm, cool, collected, confident in those moments. We have that belief. And when you have that belief, man, it's so, so powerful. It really is. And it just permeates throughout the rest of our team.
It's the voice of Travis Steele, again, the undefeated Miami Ohio Redhawks, last one in men's basketball. Quite the Indiana background, not only on the roster, but also for him. So, Coach, let me make sure I got everything right. My father, also a Danville grad. You are a Danville grad, is that right?
That's exactly right. Your father must be a really, really smart guy.
Very smart guy. Mayberry Cafe, many meals there. Shout out to Twin Bridges Golf Course. Shout out to the Warriors of Danville. So Todd Licklider coached you in high school. Is that right?
So he used to train me when I was little, and he actually coached my brother, who coaches at Akron now. I never got to play for Coach Licklider while I was in high school, but he was the varsity coach when I was in middle school and in grade school.
Okay, gotcha. And then you have had coaching stops. Obviously you went to Butler, Ben Davis, Indiana as well. I guess it gets very cliche-y at times, 49 states, blah, 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 all that. When you think of Indiana basketball or Indiana basketball players, is there something that stands out about the characteristic that, yes, it's a stereotype, but do you think there is a true stereotype when you're describing this state when it comes to basketball?
I do. It's different. I mean, I feel like it's just part of every community, right? They all get behind the high school team. You get a basketball in your hand at a very young age. The coaching is terrific in Indiana. I mean, I mentioned a couple of them earlier with Carmel and Fishers. I mean, but there's great coaches over at Ben Davis, Pike. Everywhere, Noblesville. I mean, the whole state. And being able to recruit it and being away from it, because I did coach in high school for 3 years at Ben Davis. And when you're in it, you think it's the best, but then all of a sudden when you go to college coaching and you're recruiting different states, you start to appreciate it even more.
Coach, one other thing, you mentioned your brother a moment ago, John Gross, head coach at Akron. you got to play him once and got the win over him. How does that feel like 2 wins when you get to beat your brother?
It's just like in the backyard when you're growing up, right? It's like it's a lot of fun. Now I can show up to the family reunion. So now that we beat them, they beat us last year in the MAC championship game, a heartbreaker for us. And listen, it's a lot of fun. When we're in that moment, we're in those 40 minutes, man. He's put his team in position to win, and I'm doing the same for my team. But it is also kind of weird at the after. It's like, man, you even if you won, it's kind of like, because you do. I really want to see him do well, right? I would not be where I'm at today if it wasn't for him.
Well, years ago, I'll have you know, Travis, that I covered Coach Gross at Illinois when I was in school. So it's kind of funny how I feel like in sports, like the 7 degrees of separation is like 3. Everyone's been everywhere, everyone's overlapped everywhere. And then looking at just some of the things that you've accomplished this season, how has it shifted? We actually have a question here from one of the Miami of Ohio grads, Todd Curry. He says here, asked Travis Steele about the difference between playing in the Millet at the beginning of January when the students were away for the, quote, the J term versus now playing in a sold-out arena. They removed the tarps in the upper level for the first time in forever during this run. So how has that shifted, just the fan excitement? And he also wants to say the alumni is very proud of what you've done for the program.
Yeah, well, tell him thank you. And we appreciate all the support. I have a picture of the arena during my first game ever here at Miami at Millett Hall, and there was barely anybody here. I had my wife, my kids, and a few of the other staff members' families, and that was about it. And now we're selling it out, and tickets are going for hundreds of dollars, $300 online, which is wild. And it just shows that anything can be done. Miami loves its sports, but they want to get behind the winner, right? You got to put out a product that's good enough. And we've done that, but our marketing's done a great job as well, right? And because we have to pull from the student body has to be the pulse and the heartbeat of our arena, and to give us a great home court advantage. And man, I will tell you, when I came out, he mentioned, because J term is like when kids, it's a longer Christmas break maybe than most schools. So all January, basically, our students are gone. And when they came back for our UMass game, I was stunned walking out of the tunnel. I mean, I honestly just floored how loud it was, the amount of people. Like you said, they usually have tarps up on the top, up in the upper court, concourse area. And man, it was sold out. And I was just, man, it's awesome, man. We appreciate it. I know our team does, our players do. It means a lot.
Coach, thanks so much for spending time with us this morning. Maybe we'll check in with you again later on as tournament time comes around. Sound fair?
Absolutely. I appreciate you having me on, guys.
You bet. Travis Steele, head coach of Miami of Ohio, joining us on the Payless Liquors hotline. He knows a little thing or two about Indiana basketball.
That is true. I appreciate Kevin for kind of putting all that together. And there's just so many tentacles to it when you talk about basketball here in this state, where he's been, where he's gone. And again, I never knew waking up this morning that he was brothers with John Gross.
Yeah, I think a cool angle, especially too, is Miami of Ohio now doing it for a second straight year. He mentioned they got to the conference title game, winning 25 games last year. This year, obviously, they're the last undefeated team. I think the mid-major stories of teams doing it in consecutive years are going to become super rare moving forward. And Miami of Ohio, they lost one of their dudes last year to Georgia Tech. Guys inevitably are going to transfer, and I say this up, to the power conferences. I think back to Butler's run. If Butler's run would have occurred right now, I think there's no chance it happens for a second straight year. I think Kentucky offers Shelvin Mack $3 million. And that's the end of Butler's run.
Right.
And I guess I'm projecting that Shelvin Mack would take a $3 million offer from his home state school, but that's probably the reality of the situation. Look at Indiana's roster is probably the perfect example of it this year. They are the mid-major all-stars. That's what Indiana's roster is. So if you are, Sam Houston State or Davidson or, Drake or any of these schools, you just aren't going to have the ability to string multiple years together. Travis Steele's team has gotten 2 years out of it. And now this year, obviously, they're one of the talks of college basketball. So, yeah, again, tons of Indiana flavor. Appreciate the Pete Suter, Justin Kirby mentions as well in the detail on both of those stories. So we'll see exactly what happens at 9 o'clock on Friday. They're actually on Big ESPN. So we're into Friday, NBA All-Star Weekend, Miami, Ohio against Ohio. Battle the Brick. So it's a big rivalry, I know, over there in the state of Ohio between the Bobcats and the Redhawks.
Redhawks right now in Joe Lunardi's bracketology, an 11 seed.
Well, and that's the other thing, too, is if you look at some of these computer rankings or the brackets, they don't get a lot of love. If they were to lose, oh boy, this could be Indiana State round
dicey.
2.
Yeah.
I mean, again, they're the 11th seed.
They're
not an 8, they're not a 7. Like,
you don't want to see
they're
them.
getting little to no respect from a computer standpoint. So we could have that debate because, the MAC isn't a joke of a conference by any means, so they could easily have a slip up. So be very, very curious. But that'll be a fun March story for us to follow locally, hopefully.
I do. I mean, we all love the mid-major run, right, in a tournament or just the underdog element of that sort of annual tournament. So I think that's why I enjoy March Madness so much. Like, usually at the end, you do have the top dogs there. But for that beginning few weeks when, you get the upsets and things like that, it adds to the stakes.
Well, and the debate last year was, is it dead? Do you remember last year's Cinderella?
It was very chalky.
Do you remember the one double-digit seed last year?
I actually don't remember who that was.
Our Cinderella last year was John Calipari in Arkansas.
It was Arkansas?
Coach Cal.
That's why I don't remember it. Because
the underdog of all underdogs.
Yeah.
That's who I think of.
Figure.
Both Arkansas and John Calipari, big underdogs.
But Bill Belichick, does the slipper still fit? That's what we were saying about.
Bill's trying to get in the Hall of Fame now. He's an underdog for the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Tiny Arkansas. Oh, boy, their small NIL budget. So I think that's a really fair question to ask about future NCAA tournaments.
That's real.
Are we going to have a mid-major? Is Cinderella still going to – is the Jack Golke still going to be there to pull out another Calipari?
Yeah. Or even the Steph Curry, Davidson.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the dream.
Right now, when you're looking at bracketology, updated yesterday by Joe Lunardi, Indiana is on the 9 line right now. And Purdue is on the 3 line. I'm thinking if Purdue, if they could come up with a win on the road against Iowa, that's another quad 1 win, they probably move up to a number 2 line next week, I think, after the win at Nebraska last night.
Oh, easily. Yeah. I mean, I think if Lunardi did daily updates to the bracket, I mean, a road win over Nebraska is probably one of the, top 10 wins in college basketball this season?
Gotta be.
Your number 1 seeds right now, Arizona, Michigan, UConn, who will be playing at Hinkle Fieldhouse tonight, and Duke, the Dukies.
I feel like we haven't talked about Duke a lot. And also, I know that the top picks for Pacers purposes, we've talked about Darren Peterson, AJ DeBanza. But, man, I would not draft Cameron Boozer with a number 1 pick, but he's been very good. He might be the player of the year in college. I mean, all he does is put up great numbers. All they do is win. So I'm excited to see what he'll do as the season goes on. And, boy, how about that, Duke North Carolina game a couple nights ago? Caleb Wilson getting some hype there, getting some run there, and then Karen Boozer on the other side. It's crazy. I feel like as much as we talked about how much the NCAA tournament is changing, Kevin, how many teams are we going to see with just the son of another NBA player?
More and more.
I mean, boy, every couple of years it seems like now you just got Gilbert Arenas' son is great at USC. He's healthy now. He's balling. You got, like I said, Cameron Boozer, son of Carlos Boozer. You got Bronny James in the NBA. Shout out to his dad for helping him get there. But still, nevertheless, Cayenne Anthony, Carmelo, Jace Richardson's is in the dunk contest. I'm getting old.
Well, let it be known.
You saw Hoiberg last night, too, had a kid on his team.
Let it be known. James Boyd brought it up, but I mean, we saw the news in the sports world yesterday, right, about the commitment to Florida State.
Did see that.
I did not see this.
Kevin, go ahead.
Jeff, you want to share?
Name's skipping me right now, but I did see that there was a Florida State. Who got that last night? Help me out.
Oh,
Golf.
Charlie Woods.
Charlie Woods, yeah. Charlie Woods.
Yeah, I did see this.
Charlie Woods.
Kevin just put
Florida
both his
State.
hands in front of his crotch, and you guys knew Charlie Woods.
No, he was gripping a golf club.
I was thinking basketball, so that's why
he was gripping a golf club. I saw that early this morning at like
James,
4:45.
I got really excited. I thought Jeff was going to be on the same wavelength with me.
No,
I was like, let's go, boss man. Here we go.
No, I saw it, but I thought that was interesting. Florida State, is that because it's fairly close to home, or is there something more going on with Florida State? That don't strike me as a powerhouse in collegiate golf.
Mark, you and I have been side by side on the show for several years. Have we ever talked high school golf recruiting?
Never.
Is this allowed?
Charlie Woods
if
is
you
allowed.
want me to move on, just move on. Or are we allowed to
the
give
only
it?
time was when Charlie was at West Lafayette last year, and you were like thinking you're going to go over there.
Yeah, I did. Are we allowed to do 90 seconds on it or no?
Sure.
I think when you're talking about Tiger Woods' kid, I think you can.
I would compare Florida State men's golf to kind of like Penn State football.
Okay.
If I could comp it a little bit. They were the national runner-up a couple years ago. Trey Jones, their longtime coach, has been there forever. Brooks Koepka would ring a bell to people out there. Luke Clanton, a very, very impressive young pro, just left there. For our older folks, Jeff, are you a Paul Azinger fan?
I've covered Paul Azinger.
If you want to dial it back a little bit there. Florida State actually has Miles Russell committed. He is the number 1 ranked junior golfer and probably one of the more decorated golfers we have had in quite some time. So Charlie Woods deciding to join Miles Russell there. For those following the golf recruiting rankings, Charlie Woods about the 20th best player overall, about 10th in his grade. He is still a junior, right? 27 would be a junior, I think, if my years are correct. So,
oh my God, back there.
That's great work. Just great work.
What is Brett Favre doing in the control room back there? That's what I want to know.
Sounds like Grover Stewart taking a nap on a plane.
What the hell is Brett Favre doing here?
Tiger, Mark is going to continue with that. Tiger's sister actually goes to Stanford, so I think there were some people out there that thought, or Tiger's daughter, I should say, goes to Stanford. Charlie's sister.
Sam, right?
So,
Boy,
yeah.
We're getting the whole family tree. All right, hit that one more time, Mark.
This whole week is...
James brought it up. Don't blame me. I hadn't mentioned it for 2 hours, and then Jeff got me excited.
You want to
so
switch?
that only crossed my wavelength yesterday?
Do you
guys didn't see that?
I saw it at like 4:45 this morning when I was first
4:45 this morning?
When I was looking over headlines this morning when I first woke up.
Should be doing this at 4:45.
Yeah, man, right.
I wish. It happens. I don't know. I wake up.
The sad thing is now every time I see like golf related stuff, I just think of Kevin.
Man.
Any golf news.
The
I
thing
always
is,
just want to text him like, "What do you think about this?"
and the thing, all right,
This
Mark,
guy has a sinus
enough with the
infection,
snoring.
by the way.
And the thing is, Mark is
Guy needs to go to ear, nose, and throat doctor.
Mark is low key a little bit of a golf fan.
I am. I was all in on waste management over the weekend.
Yeah, but not for the golf.
Yeah, I like the golf. I like the waste management is my unofficial first major of the golf season.
It's a good Super Bowl prep for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Travis
Beach this
Kelce
week, Mark.
knocking it near the pin, all that good stuff.
Didn't one of the big YouTuber influencers get invited to never attend a PGA tournament again this past weekend at Waste Management? Did you see that?
Well, now you're over my skis. I don't know who you're referring to.
Last thing I'll say about sons and parents, isn't LeBron's kid on Arizona?
Yes, he's going to redshirt this year.
So they have the number 1 team in the land.
Yep.
I mean, I guess, I don't know. Maybe they'll change in the rankings. But, yeah. Bryce, is that right?
Yep. Bryce James, redshirting. Wonder if he can,
So LeBron's kid's USC and Arizona?
Yeah.
Interesting. Arch Manning, Tennessee. I guess Arch isn't. I guess we'll see about Marshall Manning. Marshall Manning to Kurt Signetti.
Let's do it. Let's go. Mark, let's do a quick check down, shall we?
The Morning Checkdown, brought to you by the Barbasol Horizon League Basketball Championships. March starts here. The Barbasol Horizon League Basketball Championships with NCAA tournament bids on the line. March 8th through 10th. Tickets and more at horizonleague.com/Indy.
We'll start in the NBA, where the Indiana Pacers got a win in overtime last night, much to the chagrin, Kevin, of about 90% of our listening audience that took part in a Twitter poll this morning, correct?
People want the tank. People want the tank. I know some are trying to do the selective winning, beat the Knicks, Bucks, and Pistons, but then lose to everybody else. So, wild game last night. Kristen Airy said it. Most lead changes in the NBA this season. I think it was 39 or 40. You did the foul up 3, and it kind of burned you, I guess. Siakam split a pair, but then in overtime, the Pacers were great. And they did play their big 3, I guess you want to call it that. Siakam, Nembhard, Nesmith, they played in the fourth quarter in overtime.
And they won 137-134. Siakam had 30. Quentin Jackson had 19.6 rebounds. Andrew Nemhart, 24 points, 10 assists. And I just like to point out again, I'm reveling in this, James Boyd. The Pacers win again at what I'm calling Market Square Garden because they just own the place now. On a night when Jalen Brunson scored 40, Josh Hart had a triple-double, Karl Anthony Towns and Mikal Bridges each had 22, and then the Knicks still couldn't beat the Pacers. I'm digging that. I know nobody else wants to win,
You're
but
in the
I'm
minority,
digging that,
brother.
man. I'll take it. They will play again tonight in Brooklyn against the Nets, 7:30 p.m. The start time there with Mark Boyer. We're looking forward to that. Also,
so the Pacers get like the 7th pick because they won too many games. You'd be like, that's how I want it to be.
No, I'm just living in the moment, Mark. In the moment, I like beating the Knicks. Can I do that? Can I have the moment, Mark?
Dang,
No.
are you going to steal
Can I
all
have
the
the
joy
moment?
from the world, Mark? Are you the Grinch?
Living in the moment is what that Olympian was when the P found the you-know-what. And then
He's
now,
regretting it ever since.
now he doesn't want to live in the moment anymore.
What a mistake. It was an accident. It just happened.
I tripped and fell.
Last night was the Pacers' one-night stand.
That is great radio right there.
And we'll
Kevin.
see if 9 months from now if they're regretting it. I think that's a decent analogy.
That is a
I
great
think that was
analogy.
solid.
Purdue also won in overtime by out-rebounding the Nebraska Cornhuskers 52-33. They win 80-77 in that one, despite the fact they were only 11 of 20 from free throw range. And a big game in high school basketball last night, number 4 Mount Vernon playing against number 5 Pike. Pike wins it at home 84-81 in overtime. James Boyd was there, and who else was sitting about 2 rows in front of you?
Caitlin Clark. I was the more famous attendee, but I let her have her moment.
All right, coming up in a moment, we will talk about the National Football League and, I don't know, where the Bears going to end up playing. We might find out next on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Leading up to the climax of Mark's musical theme today, he's worried about the Chicago Bears and whether they're going to stay put in Chicago, whether they're going to go somewhere else. So we thought we'd bring in somebody who covers this on a very close basis all the time. John Greenberg writes for The Athletic. He covers the Chicago Bears. He's been all over the story that perhaps Indiana is making a play for the Bears up in the region in Northwest Indiana. And then we get news, Mark, that Iowa has introduced a bill in their state legislature that says, let's put some money aside to see if we can get the Bears now. Are you worried, my man?
I'm just confused, and that's why I'm glad we have John coming on to hopefully offer some relief here.
Well, John Greenberg does join us right now on the Payless Liquors hotline. And, Mark, I'm just going to turn it over to you because I know you're freaking out about this. What questions do you have for John? And, John, thanks for joining us this morning. But our resident Bears fan is getting itchy over here. Can you understand that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a great story for like this dead period of sports news, right? I think the Iowa stuff's just funny. Like we had our Iowa writer do like a quick news brief, and he's a bit of he's a Bears fan and a football historian, so he like got a kick out of it. But like, yeah, it's like when are they going to put him in like Bettendorf next? Like the Quad Cities?
We voted Davenport earlier, but
we said the Field of Dreams stadium.
Yeah, Dreams, that would be amazing. So yeah, I mean, this is like, this has been going on, since really it was the previous mayor, Lori Lightfoot, got into it, the Bears a little bit. And there were some questions. Kind of started slowly with them wanting to move. And then they bought this land in the northwest suburbs of Chicago, Arlington Heights. So Arlington Park, which was a racetrack, they tore down this historic racetrack to build a stadium, and they've done absolutely nothing with it in years. And part of that is because they hired a new team president, and Kevin Warren, who came from the Vikings, with the idea that he helped them build a new stadium in Minneapolis, and he would be instrumental in getting this done. Lo and behold, he has not got it done. In fact, he's one of the main. I mean, it's not all his fault. The tax situation's complicated, but he really wanted to keep the team in the city, which I agree with. But like, for what teams want now with stadiums, they don't want stadiums. They want, we've all heard this term. They want mixed-use developments. That's what they want. They want everything. Stadium's almost like, yeah, here's the big stadium, but it's just going to anchor all the money we can make with restaurants and bars and maybe apartments and hotels. So it's kind of like what everyone used to want to do Wrigleyville, the area around Wrigley Field with all the bars, and it's all organic. And now everyone wants to do the Battery in Atlanta, which is like a suburban outdoor shopping mall with that happens to include a baseball stadium.
So, John, as the resident Bears fan, I have to ask you, I'm exhausted by this story. I feel like most fans are, because I feel like it's just been going on forever. They bought the land in Arlington Heights. Nothing happened. And they're like, we'll go back to Chicago. And now that's not happening. And now we're hearing Northwest Indiana, even Iowa. When are we going to get like a final decision on this thing? Because I've heard this story for years. At this point, I just want a shovel in the ground somewhere. When do you think we're finally getting a decision one way or the other on this?
Well, it sounds like they want to make a decision or at least have a path in the next few weeks. Now, the Indiana state legislature is I think by the end of the month they wrap up. But the Illinois one goes through May. And that was when I was told we'll have the final answer. But I think they want to get ahead of this a little bit. And it sounds like there's finally some momentum to get there's only really a couple issues. It's just this tax certainty they want, or an idea of tax certainty with the property taxes. And that, a lot of that has to do with just, the deals you make with lenders to lend you the money to build everything. And then there's some other stuff in like with the local school districts of that area of how like taxes will be dispersed. So it's really not that complicated. The problem is the Bears didn't do a very good job of lobbying for this. And I think what they did when they went back to the city for about a year, which included like an absolutely hysterical press conference, like the day before they were going to draft Caleb Williams, just like the most tenured like thing you've ever seen, which included a minister asking people to pray for the Bears. And someone dubbed him Walter Prayton, which was funny. But it was just like they basically wasted a year on this. And that's why they're in such a hurry now. But in some ways I get it. It's complicated to build things. So here's what's going to happen. It's not going to Northwest Indiana. Going to Hammond could make some sense. I get it. But you're not building this mixed-use development in Hammond. It's just not going to work. I'm not for sure it's going to work in Arlington Heights either, but it's not going to work in Hammond. It doesn't make a ton of sense. The idea the other day that Portage, Indiana wanted to get involved was even funnier because they claim that it would be it wouldn't be paid for by taxpayers, but also the team wouldn't pay for it. So I think they found gold in the Indiana Dunes State Park, and they were going to use it to build a stadium. So I was dubbing it I want to see a game between the new Buffalo Bears and the old Buffalo Bills.
That's great.
Oh, I like that.
John, thanks for joining us. James Boyd here. I know I reached out last night to get you here on the show. You just crushed my dreams. Do you know how much I've been lobbying for the Gary Berries?
I know.
I mean, come on, man. We got the Bricky Bowl. Come on. This is meant for the Bears. You want to be tough? Go to the Bricky Bowl.
I listen. I want the Freddie Gibbs Dome as much as you do, but could you imagine? What's funny too is when you start talking about stadium stuff, you start talking about Chicago. You get the people who are like Chicago's too dangerous, and that's always kind of a coded complaint from certain people. Imagine if the Bears moved to Gary.
Oh boy,
that would be. I would actually almost like it just for people complaining. The Gary Bears is a fantastic idea.
Hilarious.
And I would be 100% for it with you, James.
I will say this real quick, John, and I've spent a lot of time in the region, a lot of time in Gary when I was a high school reporter in Northwest Indiana. So I can tell you I survived. I didn't run into too much trouble out there. But we're looking at the Bears from a team structure standpoint, and to kind of shift it to tie it back to here with the Colts have kind of been in limbo when it comes to finding that quarterback, the answer at quarterback. And how much do you think the Bears, their franchise, and just the way they're viewed going forward has shifted since finding that dude at that position in Caleb Williams?
Well, I think it's really on the precipice of just we're completely changing how we view the Bears. Now, kind of need to see him. I mean, I think he will do it again. I mean, I think Caleb's shown that he's a special player. He's not Mitch Trubisky, he's not Justin Fields. You need to see it for another year, right? I mean, at least another year or two, because we've seen the Bears be good for a year and then immediately go in the toilet. So we're going to need to see it, but absolutely. I mean, Caleb and Ben Johnson, listen, going into last season, the Bears were their usual incompetent self, going into last season because of the disaster of the Matt Eberflus year, the dumb hard knock season, which kind of, after it aired, showed how incompetent this organization is. Do you remember the Hard Knocks guys? Do you remember there was a scene where they were talking about they had the business people talking about what kind of seats they wanted in the clubs?
Yes.
In a club in the new stadium that doesn't exist.
And then you fast forward and you have the coach not calling a timeout on Thanksgiving. So yeah, clown show for that team a couple years ago.
Right.
Here's my question. Go ahead.
Yeah.
No, you go ahead and finish.
I was just going to say, it has completely, when I was writing this season, my tone about halfway through completely shifted, from all right, let's wait and see, to be oh, no, wait, we actually have something here. So if you can make me shift my tone on the Bears, I think you've got something special.
So I'm going to ask this to all three of you because James and Mark grew up in the Chicago area and you're covering the Bears in this now. What do they do with what I call that monstrosity downtown where they airlifted a spaceship and put it on top of Soldier Field? If they go to a new place, what happens to that building?
Well, you remember Soldier Field existed before the Bears played there. For 70 years or whatever.
Yeah,
so
but now they got the spaceship on top of it.
They do have the spaceship on top, so that I don't know what they're going to do. I think the spaceship has to stay as a relic of the past. But listen, they'll get football games. They'll get college football games. They'll get a lot of soccer, a lot of concerts. Now they'd have to compete with the new Bears Stadium for a lot of that stuff. So that'll be interesting. Someone told me once, I asked someone about buying the White Sox, a guy with money, and he said, yeah, if the Bears moved and then the White Sox take over that stadium, I would do it. That would be interesting.
Yeah.
John, I just got one and appreciate your time. Again, John Greenberg with us here from The Athletic. If you just did a simple poll, we've not really had to go through this. Obviously, we're very centrally located, but if you just did a simple poll, Bears fans, would you care if the team played in Indiana? Let's throw Iowa out the window. Like, I mean, from a commute standpoint, I don't know. Maybe to some people that would be a quicker commute than Arlington Heights. You know, obviously based off where you live within the city. But like, how overwhelming would people be against that? Like, would it be 90-10? Would it be 99-1? Like, I'm trying to gauge it.
I think there's still some state pride, so I think it would probably be like 60-40 against it. But
not that against it is what you're saying.
What'd you say?
Not like crazily against it. 60-40. That kind of surprises
eventually me. Well, I think it's because, like you said, there's a lot of people that live in the south suburbs or people that live in the city where, listen, what I've been saying to people all along is getting to Arlington Heights is no picnic because, like James, I was a prep writer and I used to write for the Daily Herald in that area where it is, and I would drive from the city, and that was horrible. I can only imagine what it's going to be like for game days, even with the commuter train that goes up there. So, no, it's probably greater than that, but I think people would get used to it if it was like – if Northwest Indiana was a great market for them to move and there was just like all this prosperity there. But it's really like – listen, I'm from an area of Ohio that's exactly like Northwest Indiana. So it would be like the Pittsburgh Steelers moving to Steubenville, Ohio. And that's just – or Weirton, West Virginia. And that's just like – it just sounds bad. And I think that's
sure.
I just don't think the Bears, with all the ties to the state of Illinois, I don't think George McCaskey would ever want to do that. I think it would be a black mark on his part of his family's legacy.
John, I only want it to happen just so I control my family. And tell them, now, the Illinois to Indiana transplant now has 2 teams in the state of Indiana. Take that.
I mean, the James Boyd angle has been underplayed.
Yes.
But I do think, I would be for that, for you trolling your family.
I say Northwest Indiana is in play if the state of Indiana agrees to take back Dio Adengbo and his contract and it comes off the books for Chicago.
There you go. Mark is winning the day today. I love it. All right, John, thanks so much for stopping by this morning. We appreciate your time, and I know Mark feels a little bit better this morning now.
All right. Anytime, guys. I'll see you at the Combine.
There you go. John Grayberg, The Athletic, joining us. He covers the Bears. And yes, Mark Dykton, you like hearing John say he can't see the Bears playing anywhere but Chicagoland in the state of Illinois.
I've said that from the get-go. They bought the land in Arlington Heights. I feel like it's a foregone conclusion they're going there, and I would only believe they're going Northwest Indiana if I see a shovel in the ground there.
All right. Different kind
of
shovel.
But if you're throwing Dio Adengbo's contract out, then I'm more open to it.
I almost forgot that he went there. Mark, you don't forget. The man never forgets.
I think everybody except the Bears and he thought that he forgot there or forgot that he went there. All right, coming up in a moment, we'll look ahead to the night in front of us. That's next at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
saying, I know that you drank too much in this. I'm just your ordinary.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
It's the only show in the city that regularly affects the development of crucial thought and youngsters throughout all of Indianapolis, James. That's what we do here. We help. We help everybody.
There you go.
That Olympic Village story gave us some education.
Yeah, we got a lot of comments on that on the text line at 239-1070. James says, my son didn't have to go to school till 9 this morning. Thanks to Jeff, he now has several birds and bees questions that I thought I was still a few years away from having to answer. Perhaps Jeff can keep all the Olympic Village talk for the last half of the hour of the show in the future.
That was pretty funny. I saw another text come in, Kevin, where the response was, what world do Kevin and James live in? They've never heard of this. And I'm like, I'm not in the Olympic world. Like, do I look like I'm about to get a bobsled right now? Like, I really didn't know too much about this. So I've learned a lot today.
Kevin, more of a luger body, skeleton body.
Is that what it is?
Okay.
More for James.
You're this close from being the chief press secretary for the curling team, aren't you?
Yeah, that's probably where my limits would last. And I also think curling's a lot harder than it clearly looks on that end. I did want to mention two things. One, to get back to our conversation we had a little bit earlier about, tanking, lottery, all of that. I am all in on relegation. I think that might be the greatest thing that the English Premier League does.
Can you elaborate? I know a little bit about this,
What would you relegate him to, though?
So if you finish in the whatever, let's say bottom 2 of the NBA standings, you are relegated to the G League. And then the top G League teams then would bump up for a year. That's what the English Premier Soccer, EPL, does over there. Obviously, in American sports, would never happen. Owners would never agree to it. But I think it's epic. I think it's awesome. You imagine the stakes for your franchise with that? And then 2, I do find it interesting. Jeff, you said you don't like what the Jazz are doing.
No, because they just give up on the game in the middle of the game.
Right.
Is there any counter to that? At least they put the dudes on the floor versus having them street clothes.
Ooh,
they at least play the guys. Good question. You said that you like just don't play them at all, is what you're saying.
If you're going
to play the fan game, I've bought my ticket to the game. I'm 10-year-old James Boyd, and I'm a huge Larry Markkinen fan.
Yeah.
You got to watch Larry Markkinen play 3 quarters of basketball.
I think if you put on a uniform and you go on the field or the court, whatever it happens to be, you do everything you can to win the game. That's just what you're paid to do. That's what you do.
But that's not the question.
I get it.
I'm asking here, would you rather have them play 3 quarters and sit the 4th or not play at all? Those are the 2 debates.
I don't like it. You know how I feel. I don't like it. I don't like if you're not going to play. If you're going to play, then you play to win, period, for the entire game.
So which one are you choosing? No playing or playing for 3 quarters?
Don't play. If a guy's not going to show up and play his best, I don't want to see him.
Yeah, I can see the argument for both sides here. And that's why I think this is such a convoluted conversation, because there's no black or white right answer. You know what I mean? And the NBA, I do think, has to think about how they want to perhaps move forward with the whole tanking conversation and narrative as we're seeing it play out today.
Inevitably injured Indiana, I think, hits it on the nail. And Kevin, I think you like this. He says, if I work all day and plan on going home to watch the Pacers and they sit everyone last minute, I can get over that. If I buy a ticket, took my kids, and they sit, I'm going to be pissed. At least announce all-out rest days 24 to 48 hours ahead of time for fans.
Well, sure. Again, those are different conversations. I think if I were a paying member to go to the game, I would appreciate at least them playing for some quarters. Yes, I'd prefer all, but I have to live in reality.
Well, that's just a preseason game. Then it's like going to watch your favorite football player for the first 3 series of a preseason game, and then you never see him again.
Hey, a lot of stakes on these preseason games coming up for the Pacers.
All right, we got to run. It'll be Jake Query coming your way from noon to 3, JMV from 3 to 6, and we've got Pacers basketball